I assume that Janine is okay, and you didn't put your name down.
Michael Cooper.
Okay, thanks.
She's the important one.
Tell you how we run the show. What we do is we have Lisa read the article, and when she and then any additional information that has been brought in relative to the case. And after that's done, then you can speak to it, to the article, or you can just let it stand on its own. You don't have to say anything and hope the paperwork itself carries it. If you do, you come to the mic and you give your name and address anyway, and then state your case. Then we open it to public discussion for those who may be in favor or in opposition to what your request is. And then we cut off public discussion, and then the board deliberates. So with that, Lisa, would you please?
This is an application for a special permit for dimensional variation, Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40A, Section 9, Zoning Board of Appeals. The name and address of the applicant is Janine M. Therian, 43 The Clearing, Lunenburg. The undersigned hereby appeals as follows. She's seeking a rear setback relief to construct a 24 by 24 two-car garage on a pre-existing non-conforming lot. I just want to mention that this evening they brought in a new plan and a new sketch that shows a 24 by 20 garage. The basis for this application for special permit is found in the following section of the Lunenburg zoning bylaw, section 8321B4. The street address of the property is 43 The Clearing, assesses map 113, parcel 43. The name and address of each holder of legal title to the land which is the subject of this case is Janine Therian, 43 The Clearing in Lunenburg, and the deed was recorded in Worcester Northern District Registry of Deeds, Book 7212, page 279, and recorded July 16th, 2010. Section 12A, the proposed work will not be injurious or dangerous to the public health or unduly hazardous because of traffic congestion, danger of fire or explosion, or other reasons. The proposed work will not have a material adverse effect on the land, of the value of the land and buildings in the neighborhood, or on the amenities of the neighborhood. The applicant feels very strongly that the proposed work will have a positive effect on the surrounding property values. The applicant has also taken extra time and precautions to make sure that none of the proposed work will have any adverse effects on the neighbors, continual use and enjoyment of the properties. C, it is not an open use, it's a residential garage only, and it will not produce noise, vibration, smoke, dust, odor, heat, or glare observable at the lot lines in the amounts clearly detrimental to the normal use of adjacent property. And that is signed May 8th, 2004 by Janine Therian. Attached is the assessor's field card, a subject property map, a photograph of the garage, but there was a new one submitted this evening, and the list of abutters with a
Just a question, Lisa.
yes.
Does that reflect the difference in size configuration?
Yes, the one before you tonight.
That it does.
Decided to go smaller.
Anytime you speak, you have to walk up here. I was directed to Lisa, so I was going to let you sit down, but you forced yourself to do it. It's
That's
not
no
my
problem,
fault.
sir. I just wanted to make sure that I answered your questions clearly.
Yes.
We decided to go smaller.
Okay.
The 24 by 24 was just a little too big.
Sometimes that helps.
Yeah, I figured it would.
It may be cheaper.
Could be a win-win.
Okay.
Just for the record,
So-
your name and address, please.
Michael Cooper, 43 The Clearing, Lunenburg,
Thank you.
Mass.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So in addition is a list of abutters, and the new plan is before you. I also received a memo from the Board of Health dated June 9th that the property is connected to municipal sewer, so there's not any Board of Health issues. And I did receive in hand tonight a letter to the Board of Appeals from an abutter. I, Paul Consemi Jr. of 44 Florence Street, Lunenburg, fully support Janine Therian of 43 The Clearing in her petition to seek a special permit for dimensional variation for the construction of a two-car 20 by 24 garage. My property directly abuts Janine's, where she would like to construct a garage, and such a building would have no negative impact on my property. Please accept this letter of approval into her application for a special permit and use it in your decision-making progress. If there is anything else that I can do to show my support, please feel free to contact me. Sincerely, Paul Consemi, 44 Florence Street, and he included his phone number. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's your show. If you want to speak to the issue, you got to get up again and do it. If you want to stay mute,
Not sure
That's
what
your
I should
choice.
say, other than we're just looking for a garage to be able to park the car in for the winter time. We decided to go smaller, 20 by 24, and the variances that we're looking for is 8 feet in the back and 4 on the side. That's pretty much what we're looking to get,
so
if we
that's your
could.
request for the dimensional, special
Yes,
permit
sir.
for dimensional variation.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't have any,
Sit back and relax.
thank you.
And with that, we'll open it up to public discussion. If anybody here would like to speak to the issue, and first we'll go in favor. If anybody would like to do it, name and address and state your case. I hear none. Those who are in opposition, if they would like to do the same, name and address and state the case. And I hear none. And we'll cut off public discussion. We have to formally do that all the time. Win, lose, or draw. And with that, we'll cut off discussion, turn it over to the board. Gentlemen,
I had a question. You have a small shed on the property. Will that remain there, or, so that will be completely gone and you'll, okay.
For the folks at home.
Sorry, sir. The shed will be gone by the time the garage is built.
Okay. And you've got macadam or tar, whatever you want to call it, in front on both sides of the existing deck and where you're proposing the new garage?
Yes.
You'll be taking out that, or just,
Partially, leaving half of it, the first 18 feet of it.
okay, thank you.
did that create any problem in your mind? No.
No,
So-
stay there for a while.
Okay,
Just
just stay
a
here.
question and answer.
Okay.
I have a couple of questions.
Okay. You might as well stay right there. You didn't think we were going to just stand dead mute? No. It don't
okay.
normally happen that way. Go ahead.
Okay, the original plan, and this might do with the deck and different things, but when I'm looking at the original plan, if this is the scale, it's about 22 and a half feet from the house where the garage starts, and this was on the 24 by 24.
That's correct.
You originally had a 12-foot
Yes,
to the line.
to Pierce Street.
The new proposal, the garage is smaller that way, it's 20 by 24, yet we're 4 feet, and I'm looking at it, it's, the original drawing is, like I say, 22 and a half feet from the existing house. The new one, appears to be about 33 feet from the existing house. Is there a reason yet, but that you moved that further from the house?
That
So
was the
that's-
reason for going smaller, so it would be further from the house to have more yard.
Okay, so it's really so you can have more.
Yes.
A lot of
That-
people like their garages closer, so I was
No, we
curious.
want it off to the side as far as possible, so we can have as much of the yard as we can. That was the reason for going smaller, going to a 20-foot wide instead of a 24.
Okay, and it was also the reason to get closer to the property line was to
Yes.
give you more of an area for the yard.
That's correct.
Okay, all right, it explains it, thank you.
Any further questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, are you going to be leaving those trees there that are right on the street?
Really gonna try.
Okay.
Yeah,
just
that
curious.
is
Those are
that
big,
is the
but
big
nice.
goal. We're gonna try our hardest. That's why we decided to go 4 feet. Originally, it was 12 to make sure the canopy covers just about the line where the edge of the foundation will be.
Mm-hmm.
So it should be able to keep them. That is the big goal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Further questions?
That was going to be my
No.
same area.
You have one?
No, that was.
Okay, with that,
He answered it for me.
the chair will entertain a motion if there's no further questions.
I'll make a motion that we grant the special permit as requested for a single-car garage, 20 by 24, with the setbacks of 8 feet in the back and 4 on the side.
Okay, second to the motion?
Second.
Any conditions being requested in addition to the motion in front of the chair? If there are none, all those in favor of granting the special permit for dimensional variation, please say aye.
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 Okay, I hear a lot of ayes. And I say aye. With a 5-man board, you gotta have at least 4 out of 5, and you get 5 out of 5. So with that, I have to do dutifully bound to read this. I read it over and over again, and I've never memorized it in 32 years sitting here. I didn't sit here, I sat, before that elsewhere. I do good paperwork, so they leave me as the chair. So, but I don't have to make motions, so I can't be the bad guy. They think I'm the bad guy because I do a lot of the talking, but no, they do it. Okay, here we go. In granting the special permit, the Board of Appeals shall assure that the proposed use, and we did, you didn't know it, but we did, would not be injurious or dangerous to the public health or unduly hazardous because of traffic conditions, danger of fire, explosion, or other reasons. That we not have a material adverse effect on the value of the land and the buildings in the neighborhood or on the amenities thereof. The other two, you cited the fact that, no, it wasn't applicable, and the board would agree with that. So we don't need to read further, but we must read the rest. The special authorization is granted with the contingency that the petitioner comply with all licenses, regulations, statutes, and ordinances of any and all applicable state, local, and federal boards or agencies with jurisdictions over the property. That covers us in case we made a mistake and didn't get you for everything. But we move on. The granting of the special permit shall inure to the benefit of the applicant. With the special permit is subject to periodic review by the permit granting authority, the zoning board, that's this board, or the enforcing officer to ensure compliance with all enumerated conditions. There were none in this case, but you must comply certainly with the building inspector's guidance as he carries you through to the construction of that beautiful thing that you're going to put up. And with that, to ensure compliance with all enumerated conditions, non-compliance of these conditions will result in revocation of the permit. And with that, we wish you luck.
Thank you very much,
for
sir.
coming.
Thank you.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. This is the one I always forget.
Yes.
You'll have it'll take about 14 days to get the special permit to the town clerk's office. Okay, and prior to that, anybody who wants to can take this board to Superior Court to challenge the decision of this board. So that is, and then the last thing, you should appropriately register the permit with the Registry of Deeds. And with that, now we wish you well.
Thank you very much for your time.
You're more than welcome.
All right.
See ya. You're welcome.
Put in a full-height door if you can. Put in an 8-foot door if you can instead of a 7.6.
Yes, 8 foot by,
Yeah.
I believe we're gonna go
16? Oh, yeah.
10 or 12, it depends which one I can get.
That's so when your children drive in with the two
Yeah.
bikes on the top of the roof, it'll clear.
Oh, you got a big truck someday, you want to get in there.
Thank you very much for your time.
Good night.
Okay, we got that done. Now we have a rest period for 15 minutes, so I guess we can go off air
Want
for...
that and give it to Lisa?
You're sitting there. Can we help you? Yeah, well, you have to get up here if you want to talk.
Well, you got 15 minutes.
That's the group called Apollo's Fire on 99.5 WCRB, Bach's Third Brandenburg Concerto, directed by Jeanette Sorrell. From Foxborough north into New Hampshire, hear WCRB on 99.5. From Foxborough south into Rhode Island, hear us on 88.7, and hear us anywhere online at classicalwcrb.org. No matter where or how you listen, we're glad you're with us. Well, tonight at 8, we'll mark two masters of music. Conductor Rafael Fröbach de Burgos died yesterday, and James David Jacobs will bring you one of his great recordings, Fauré's Ballade, with pianist Louis Lortie. That's right at 8 o'clock. And then it's our symphony at 8, slightly later than usual tonight. The 150th birthday of Richard Strauss is today. James will present the Alpine Symphony by Strauss today. So stay with us. It all begins at 8 o'clock.
Music on WCRB is here thanks to you. And Doc Martin, a special 2 hours of everyone's favorite cranky physician whose blundering social skills make for awkward interactions in a small town. Watch Doc Martin tonight at 9 on WGBX 44.
Now here's Cyprian Katsaris with a waltz by Leo Delis. spectacular piano playing by Cyprian Katsaris on 99.5 WCRB. That's the Waltz from the Ballet Coppelia, written by Leo Delibes and arranged into a spectacular piece for piano by Erno Dochnani. I'm Steve Ellman, in for Kathy Fuller. Very glad to be with you this evening. Well, right now it's about...
They aren't that expensive either.
Gentlemen, we've just gone online, I think.
Okay.
So don't say anything you don't want broadcasted through the hour. That'd be worse than the internet, since we're on television.
People would see the internet.
Go viral.
I used to be prettier, and I didn't mind being on TV, but, you know, it's... Okay, here we go. It is 7:30, and if I got the right paperwork in front of me, we won't have any troubles.
Let's hope so.
So here we go.
That looks like it.
Let's see. This is a request for the owner of Dwayne A. Glow. Am I right? Okay, as long as I get the right paperwork. What we do is we'll tell you how we run the show. What we do is we have the take the petition, have the petition read by Lisa. And then if you want to add or subtract from what has been presented, you do so, giving your name and address on the mic. Then we open up the public discussion for those who may be in favor or in opposition to the request. And we cut off public discussion. And with that, we go to the board, and then we'll ask the question. So with that, Lisa, would you please?
This is an application for a special permit. The variance block has been checked, but it's been changed to a special permit for dimensional variation. The name and address of the applicant is Joshua B. Brianis, 230 Great Road in Shirley. The undersigned hereby appeals as follows. Special permit pursuant to 4631J for a contractor's plant. Special permit pursuant to 411 for more than one principal use. 4621B for outside storage, and a special permit variation for change, extension of use in a non-conforming lot as to frontage, and the sections 7.42 and 7.51. The proposed action has not begun. The basis for this application for special permit is found in the following section of the Lunenburg zoning bylaw, 4631J, 4.11, 462.11, and 742. The street address of the property is 1259 Massachusetts Avenue in Lunenburg, Assessors Map 61, Parcel 26. The name and address of each holder of legal title to the land, which is the subject of this case, is Dwayne A. and Judith A. Glow, and the deed is recorded in Worcester Northern District Registry of Deeds, Book 2527, page 296, and recorded February 7th, 2094. And it's signed on May 12th by Joshua B. Brianis of 230 Great Road in Shirley. There has been an addendum, so I'll read the addendum and not...
Lisa?
Yes.
It's an objection. I thought I heard, maybe I get just bad hearings. I thought you said 2/7/2094. Is that correct?
Oh, no, it's 1994. I'm
Thank
not
you.
sure. Okay, 1994.
Okay. We'd like to look to the future somewhere when we can, but not tonight.
Okay, the summary in favor of special permit and variation. The applicant, Joseph B. Brianis, is the purchaser under contract to purchase 1259 Massachusetts Avenue in Lunenburg. He has standing to bring his application conferred under the agreement. Application is seeking approval to improve the property at 1259 Mass Ave by constructing a 36 by 72 Merton prefabricated garage buildings on slab foundation on the property for the purpose of conducting his landscaping business on the property, and to retain the existing office building for rental for professional office purposes. Various special permits are requested. The property is currently zoned commercial. The landscaping business is allowed in the commercial district upon special permit of the zoning board as a contractor's plant, materials storage yard, lumberyard, warehouse, or other storage or distribution use, sections 4631J. The applicant's business would be a residential landscaping business, primarily housed within the garage, but with incidental storage and display on the side and rear of the building seasonally. Generally, there will be landscaping equipment such as trucks, trailers, and mowers stored in the building, as well as fertilizer in bags and other lawn maintenance tools and equipment. The applicant is also requesting a special permit to allow more than one principal use on the property pursuant to 4611A. The applicant is also requesting a special permit to allow outdoor storage and display pursuant to 4621B in the rear and/or side. The storage will be screened from view of dwellings in abutting residence or outlying districts. The area is to the rear of the lot. The lot is a 1.38-acre lot with the improvements in the rear. As the map indicates, the existing lot has 66.7 feet of frontage on Massachusetts Avenue. The existing medical office building was constructed prior to the zoning changing the frontage to 100 feet. Therefore, the applicant is also seeking a special permit under 741 for a non-conforming structure. Under the bylaw, such change, extension, or alteration of a non-conforming structure is permitted if the change is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing use. The only non-conformity of the lot is as due to frontage. The applicant requests a finding that the proposed alteration of the requested addition of the landscaping equipment garage, which will conform to all dimensional setbacks, will not be substantially more detrimental in the commercial district than the current structure. The special permit. A, the applicant's use would not be injurious or dangerous to the public health or unduly hazardous or congest traffic. The applicant's business is to conduct commercial landscaping services. Little or no hazardous product is stored. There is limited on-site storage of fertilizer in bags and motor oils and gasoline. Applicant will obtain all of the property approvals of the fire department, the Board of Health, Conservation if applicable, and any and all state permits, and all of the storage will be handled in a professional and safe manner. The hours of operation will be limited to 2 or 4 vehicle trips out in the morning and back in the afternoon. There will be no substantial traffic to and from the site. B, the proposed commercial use is consistent with that which is allowed in the district, so there will be no material adverse effect on the value
I'll
of...
make you pause for a moment,
Yes.
just for clarity, because we've got a lot of reading here, and some of the thought process might get lost in the abundance of material. But the hours of operation will be limited to 2 to 4 vehicle trips outside in the morning and back in the afternoon. There will be no substantial traffic to and from the site. On that one point, would the applicant speak to the issue? I'm thinking that's very minimal traffic for their customers coming and going. Could we have just, I'd like to pause on that one, and we'll continue to read the remainder, because that just seems it could get lost in the
Sure.
in the translation.
Name and address.
My name's Joshua B. Brianis, 230 Great Road in Shirley, Massachusetts. Regarding the traffic to and from, we would not have any customers coming to or from our location proposed at 1259 Mass Ave. Primarily it would be for myself and my one employee going in the morning and leaving for the day and then returning in the afternoon.
So you're not a retail
No retail
operation.
operation.
I just wanted to get that clarified, because one could imagine with the abundance of what you have that you'd be sub-selling.
No retail sales
Okay, so
whatsoever.
you've answered the question. You can sit back and relax while Lisa wears her vocal cords out.
B, the proposed commercial use is consistent with that which is allowed in the district, so there will be no material adverse effect on the value of land. C, any open use will be in the side and rear of the property and properly screened. D, the proposed use is not one which will produce noise, vibration, smoke, dust, or odor detrimental to the normal use of adjacent property. Also in the application, Mr. Chairman, is a purchase and sales agreement with contingencies, selling, Dwayne Glow selling the property to Mr. Brianis. There is also a site map from the assessor's office, a list of abutters, which were all notified 2 weeks prior to the hearing, and then there's a small plan attached and a large plan that I had given you. I also have one additional memo from the Lunenburg Board of Health, which I turned over to the applicant so they would be aware. This is dated June 9th to the Zoning Board of Appeals from James Gariffi. This office has reviewed the petition for this property and has the following comments. One, the existing sewage disposal system has a design flow of 430 gallons per day. Additional information on the proposed uses of the property is needed before we can comment on the adequacy of the system on this site. The flow to the existing leaching area cannot exceed 430 gallons per day. Two, we need a plan that can be used for permitting to determine the following. A, that offsets between the proposed building and the existing and reserved leaching areas are met. B, the elevation for the proposed tanks and leaching area, existing leaching area. C, how the existing leaching area will be protected from vehicular traffic. Number three, the operation of the landscaping business can't create dust, noise, vibrations, and odors that would be deemed a nuisance as defined by the Air Pollution Control Regulations 310 CMR 7. Four, only clean materials should be allowed to be stockpiled on the site, nothing containing brick, concrete, or asphalt. Five, I would not recommend the stockpiling of organic materials on the site, stumps, leaves, brush, etc., without prior approval of the Board of Health. And that's signed James Griffey, Health Agent. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Is the applicant aware of the communication from Jim Griffey? You have to get up and speak your
if I
name
may.
again. You got to talk, give your name to those out in the crowd.
I'm Cheryl Gould. I'm an attorney in Littleton, Mass. I'm representing Josh Brianis on this application. And yes, Mr. Bone, we're aware, Ms. Normandin forwarded it to us yesterday or today, and I have some responses to it when you're ready.
What have you done with it?
I have some responses to share with the board.
Oh, okay, we're gonna let you do that.
Great.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I'd like to compliment your writings. You've done a lot of work and
Thank you.
covered most of the issues reasonably well, I thought.
I'd like to give credit to your staff because Lisa and your building inspector were immensely helpful in helping me and steering me through the process. So I want to give credit to your people. They made it very user-friendly.
Okay, fine. Okay, well, then go ahead. It's your folks' show.
This
And
is...
You might want to take care of this on the front end.
I will be glad to do this. This is a multi-step process. As you probably know, first we need to get the special permit to be able to do anything on the site. Then, once we do that, we have to go through the planning board for site plan review and the request to build the building, and along with that, we'll go through Board of Health for the improvements to the septic system. Mr. Brianis wanted to take it one step at a time because all of this is very costly, and if this board doesn't see it in their power to grant the special permits, then it would be some money wasted for him to have gone forward with the other matters. I don't know if your board got this memo, but there was an environmental impact statement generated by the engineer Markey and Rubin. It's addressed to the Lunenburg Planning Board, and I had asked him to forward it to you, but apparently, I don't know if you received it or not.
I didn't.
I will make it available to you immediately, but it addresses...
Excuse me, I didn't hear that you did not get it?
No.
Okay.
I apologize. It addresses...
Could you kind of shake through it and encapsulate it in a few words?
Yes.
Less than 3,000.
Okay. It speaks to the plans as was read already. It says there's a relatively level site and there's no major impact to the soils, the drainage, and the runoff, but he has accommodated some drainage for the site. There are erosion control measures that he has proposed for the site. As to sewage disposal, the proposed use will generate minimal sanitary waste. It may be possible that the existing leaching facility will handle the negligible increase in flow. However, there's a proposal to replace the existing septic tank for the medical office building with a new H20 strength tank for vehicular traffic, which was one of the questions in the Board of Health memo from Mr. Griffey, and to install an additional tank for the new facility. A permit with the Neshoba Board of Health will be filed for these improvements. They're probably going to be filed under local upgrades unless the septic leaching field needs expanding. As currently designed, the leaching facility meets the requirements of the State Environmental Code and right now does not have any negative impact on surface water, soils, or vegetation on the site. The proposed use, which is for 2 employees, as was represented, will not generate enough additional flow for us to be exceeding the 430 gallons that exists on the site. So that's the plan with that. We are certainly prepared and going to the Board of Health if we have a favorable decision here.
We would, of course, after knowing what we should have known earlier, would condition it in that regard. Go ahead.
No problem. He then talks about the subsurface conditions and percolation rates and the soil's ability to absorb any additional water runoff from the roof, and that's all satisfactory according to the environmental impact statement. Town services. The additional use on the site will generate only 2 to 4 vehicle trips per day during peak periods and will have very little or no traffic flow in the area. Currently, there's approximately 10 spaces for the medical office building. The proposal is to add 2 more spaces for the employees' use as they come to swap out their cars for the landscaping trucks that they take out in the morning. There will be no significant impact on police and fire protection services. There will be no measurable effect on existing public services. There will be no effect on education services. The building will be connected to the municipal water system with a new service. The proposed use does not use a large amount of water. The proposed use will not generate fumes, odor, noxious chemical, and hazardous materials during operations. It's not that type of a use. It's a residential landscape business where he loads up a truck and a trailer with lawnmowers and weed whackers and goes to people's homes. The site will contain storage of fertilizer for landscaping. It's contained totally within sealed bags. It'll be contained within the building. It'll be stored according to the manufacturer's recommendations on the label. And we will connect with the fire department, which can be another condition if you wish, to make sure that he's got all of the safety permits to store what he does store. It is not intended that the outdoor storage area be used for anything organic, anything, compost, anything like that. I put it in just as a safety catch-all incidental storage because frequently on a landscape site like this, you might see bricks or flagstone being used for a particular patio landscape job that they're doing. It might get delivered there before it's moved off to be used. The intended use is not a generator of noise pollution. The intended use will not emit any odors from the site. And I think that's, I'm under 3,000 words, I hope.
Okay. I have a question. In terms of what you're looking for that stands out a little bit, and I'd like to play with it a little bit because you could be more correct in my thought process. But in your request, you're asking for a special permit or variance. You're asking the variances, and I assume you appear to be quite knowledgeable. That's most difficult and probably impossible to grant a variance under very special conditions, which I didn't note any. But the town of Lunenburg, in its wisdom, has made a special permit for dimensional variation. And because you've done so much reading and did such good work, that if you reached out for an area that I haven't reached out in my mind, or maybe the board's mind, they'll soon let you know. But what are your thoughts on the matter?
I'll perhaps apologize. It's my practice when I go before a board for either a special permit or a variance to ask for both special permit variance so that the matter gets advertised as both, so that if I go before a board and they feel that they don't have special permit granting authority and want to go to discuss whether a variance is appropriate, the advertisement hasn't been wrong.
We've long since, it's been a long time since you have to have some good reason to get a variance, so that's why we accommodate, and it seems to have worked well. For a special permit for dimensional variation is to stand aside from a variance.
Which is what your building inspector informed me after I filed, and so we withdrew the variance part.
So you've opened the door for us to do whatever pleases us, I think. Is that correct?
I've asked for the special permit. We tried to close the variance door.
Okay, so we're in agreement.
We are, sir.
Okay, I just wanted to get that on the table. Okay, so you all set?
I think unless the board has other questions, we're happy to
We'll
answer.
have questions, I'm sure. But what we'll do now is you can sit back and relax for a moment, and we'll open it up for public discussion. So anybody here would like to speak in favor of the applicants, give your name and address and say what you like, and you got to do it on TV, whether you like it or not.
My name is Dwayne Glow, 619 Northfield Road. I'm also the owner of this property right now. I'm highly in favor of having Josh do this project. I think it's an excellent piece of property. I think it'll be a good use of the land that is next to the building. I see no objection at all.
Okay.
And I've met with Josh a few times. I've had nothing but positive vibes all the way through, so I see no objection anyway.
Okay. Now, anybody that'd like to speak, you can sit down. Thank you. Lisa, you did get his name.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody like to speak in opposition? Give your name and address. Seeing none, we'll cut out. Are you in opposition? You've got to move. I was watching body action there, so I thought we had to change a venue or something here. Anyway, so with that, we'll cut off public discussion, turn it over to the board. Gentlemen, questions?
I got a question, quick one, Mr. Chairman, of the applicant, if you could come to the mic, please.
Hello.
Hi. Do you also do snow plowing?
I do not do snow plowing.
Okay, so my question would have been, so that would have been more trips, maybe middle of the night type of thing if you did snow plowing, so.
No snow plowing whatsoever, except
Okay,
my own
okay.
driveway at home.
While you're there, if you
Yes, sir.
just,
I'll just stay there for a while.
if you don't mind, I'd like you to just go, a little bit about your business, the landscaping, but especially the equipment you're going to be using and how you service it, repair it, do you do it there, off-site? Just, directed to the equipment that you use.
We use various types of equipment. First and foremost, we use regular light-duty pickup trucks. Currently, we have 3. In addition to that, we have 1 trailer, and we have small powered equipment that we use for various landscape tasks, such as aerators, seeders, fertilizer spreaders, backpack blowers, that sort of thing. We typically store all our equipment under cover at all times, keep it dry and out of the elements. We work on the small equipment when we can, if it needs repair or maintenance ourselves. The trucks go out for repair if need be.
Okay, so the repairs would be done inside the building?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes,
All right. And there's only yourself and one other employee?
that's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And,
This is my first year. I hired 1 full-time employee, so it's just 2 of us.
congratulations.
Yes,
and
thank
keep
you.
growing. The reason for the size of the building?
As I had mentioned, I like to keep all the equipment and materials all under cover and out of sight. I keep all the trucks parked inside and out of the weather, so I need space to accommodate the trucks. I accommodate a trailer, all the equipment, some fertilizer, seed, various stuff I use during the course of the workday. So that's roughly the adequate size to house what I need.
Okay, thank you. And you'll be leasing out the other building, the office that's currently there?
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
so you wouldn't have no use for that building in your business?
Not currently, no.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Further questions?
You mentioned that, what size trailer do you presently have?
It's a 16-foot trailer we currently use.
Okay, and you look as through the years, is that going to be adequate? The reason for my questioning is, my concern is that if this existing medical office building, if the folks are using the parking area today, how you propose being able to get the trailer or the vehicle, into the garage?
On the site design, we've proposed an adequate room to actually maneuver the trailer. fully on that side lot and back it directly into the garage. That's kind of my intent at the moment.
Okay, so you think that's enough room to be able to kind of spin the trailer and,
Yep, we did a measurement on how far it takes for a turning radius with the truck and trailer, and we found we have more than adequate room to actually pull on the side lot area, kind of in a U shape, and then back up directly into the garage.
okay.
And we don't have any plans of any larger trailers or equipment in the future.
Okay. The other thing is, and I know that will be taken up with the Board of Health, but the distance from the edge of your building to the leach field does not seem adequate for what the town usually looks for.
Okay,
Okay, so it usually has to be at least 12, 15 feet, so
okay.
just, so that's, the question would be is if, the building
Is it, okay.
might have to move on the site, and I don't know if we're able to do anything there. You don't show the parking on the existing paved parking area. Could there be parking in this area that you're trying to drive across?
There currently is not in the area we're trying to drive across. There's, I believe, 2 spots to the left before the area we're gonna drive through, but currently it's actually a corner of the parking lot.
Right.
Where we'll be driving across, so I don't think we'll be impeding any of the available spaces now.
Okay, and are you proposing running water in your building?
Yes, I am.
And that would be hooked into the septic also?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, because you don't, on your plans, you're not showing it that way. You're showing a kind of something a little bit different, so you didn't show it going into the septic system per se, but that's, I'm sure you, okay. The building itself, it's on slab, it's a steel building right now?
It's steel exterior, it's prefabricated wood interior.
Right.
Truss construction. It's commonly referred to as a Morton building.
Understand.
Yes.
Okay. Your outside storage area, is that going to be fenced? Is there any proposal for the outside storage area?
We really don't need currently any outside storage areas, so we'd not fence anything in at the current time. The only thing we potentially might use it for is if we need to park a vehicle or trailer for a temporary period for some reason, but we don't intend to store any materials out there. And I don't think that we'd need to do any fencing if we don't.
Okay.
plan to.
I'm just looking at it as just as far as the abutters. And
Okay.
your proposed way of reaching that outdoor storage, was that going to be over that erosion, over the reserve septic area?
No, actually, we would go around the opposite side of the building if need be.
So, okay.
Around the far back side.
So through the siltation barrier?
Yes.
And what is the roof itself on the building, that's assume a metal roof?
It is a metal roof.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
I just was concerned with asphalt. Okay.
Now, the current building, as it exists, is occupied by whom and for what purpose?
As far as I'm currently aware, it's occupied by Mr. Glow, Dwayne Glow, and I believe it's used as professional office space for medical services.
Okay. One thing that it comes to mind, it's terrible when people have things come to their mind, cause problems sometimes. But in the conversion of the change, are such things as handicapped already taken care of, or because of the change in what's happening, does that require additional handicap for the activity that you want to remain? What are your thoughts on the matter? And the attorney might have an answer to that.
If you could.
If I may, it is
But
currently...
remember, we're going through a development plan review at one point in time, and I bring that up because the things that we may come to may be conditional upon things as long as they have validity in this board's mind.
I was there this evening on the way here. It's my understanding it's a single-story structure with a very low profile, maybe 1 or 2 steps into it. So it would be very easy to adapt it to handicap use. However, if there's no change to that building, I don't think it's required under the building code. But whatever, we will be going through the site plan review with the planning board and the building inspector for permits for the
The dynamics have changed. Things that pre-exist are kind of okay, but then if you have a dynamics of change, is the actual transfer of title of this make a significant change to enforce those regulations that are in front of you, but you're sheltered from at this point in time. So it's a cost on the matter, so you're cognizant of that possibility.
We absolutely will
And
bring.
you're prepared to respond to it if
Absolutely.
required. Okay. I just wanted to make that, because this board will cite things, not necessarily demand them. If it's in the area of development plan review, then it'll rise to the surface, but it's the obligation of this board to rise those things that are apparent to the board. Okay?
Yes, sir.
No objections?
No objections.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
On your outside storage area, are you planning on just using, if the need arises, just the existing grass surface, grass, gravel, whatever's there? Or?
Yes, sir. Just the existing surface.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I got another one, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, please.
Are you going to be leaving the line of trees there that's currently there between where the garage is and where the land is going to be cleared out?
Actually, those trees will have to be removed as some of them will go through the septic leach field.
Yeah, I thought I saw the vent there, and I was kind of surprised that they allowed trees to grow up on
Yeah.
the septic area, so.
Unfortunately, those do need to be removed. Most of them anyways.
Right.
Yeah. If we
I mean,
can
the way
save them, we
the
will.
way it's
but-
sited, it looks like your building's just going to be tucked back in there, and you're really not going to be able to see much of it. Will you have a door on the, I guess, the rear end near the outsourced storage? Could you just drive through your building?
I think we would like to just have one man door on the rear of the building
Mm-hmm.
to access any outside storage, and then we'll have one man door on the front. That would be adequate. We don't really intend on storing any large materials or equipment out behind the building, so we wouldn't really need access with a forklift or anything like that.
Right. No, I mean, you're just asking because you're here, and why not ask? This is the time to do it, I understand that, so. All right, I'm now done, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
Just, how long have you currently been in business?
Since 2002, so going on 13 years.
15 years?
Yes.
Okay. And do you do this area? Do you want to locate, and is this
Yep.
central to your business?
It is. I'm currently located in Air. I've been renting a premises for over 10 years now, and I work just in the surrounding towns, so I would be happy to stay in the area, and been looking for quite some time to find something near where I live and my work area, and this is a beautiful piece of land, and I like the town, and it seems to fit pretty well thus far.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Further questions?
Do you propose a sign at all?
It's not absolutely necessary, but if it's possible, I might like to in the future.
We have a sign law that you should comply with, right?
That's correct, yes. And I don't know if there was a sign for the existing, I can't remember if there's a sign for the existing building.
Yes.
Right, there is.
There is,
yeah.
yes.
Until the car took it out.
Oh,
You got something you'd like to say?
Well, there was an existing sign for the building, but a car went through it and knocked it down, so the posts still remain where the sign was.
Excuse me. You know that I've got a hearing problem because you've
Oh.
been listening, so if you could just speak a little
The existing
crisper.
sign the post, well, at least one of the posts is still remaining there, but a car went flying through it, and it has not been repaired yet. So there is a partial sign there right now.
It already exists, so what you want to do, freshen it up?
I think I'm gonna be yanking it out, so.
I'd guide you to the Lunenburg zoning bylaws and signs as to what you can do as a matter of right and what you necessarily to do, which would be come in front of this board again, that we can amend it and change if that requirement comes to pass and we agree with your thought process. So
Okay.
that's where that is.
It was more for yourself, because if there is an existing sign, there's things you can do also.
Okay,
All right.
all right, I see.
Further questions? I have, if nobody minds, I got a thought. In reviewing the application, which I complimented you on doing it, you cited the proper aspects of the zoning bylaw. And in our bylaws under section 4.1, what we say as a matter of course is that one principal business use is accepted herein provided, okay? And that provision opens the door for the Lunenburg Zoning Board of Appeals, that it's a use permitted by special permit from the Zoning Board of Appeals or the Planning Board. So that gives us the authority to do it. Now, the idea of creating two businesses on a lot, or the same as two houses on a single lot, not shined on too easily. So there are certain characteristics that, now I speak for myself only as the chair, not the board, that, and this, by the way, happens to be a commercial, again, you so cited it, a commercial district. The Zoning Board of Appeals may authorize by special permit any of the following additional issues. Any issue which may be authorized by a special permit within the retail district, then with our authority could pass over to the commercial districts in which you lie, because you can't do it unless it's only at the power of this board, not other boards. So this is, if we are doing it, and we would grant it, I would request that the board, in terms of conditioning, cite that, and each case that comes in front of us about multiples, not generally looked up upon it, but it has to have some good basis of doing it. There creeps into the thought process of, and may not be exactly applicable, but probably could if this board felt there was a way. There's some grandfathering aspects to the conversion of the business for the other use of the property. So that's my comments and the request for the basis of the board's consideration. So if there are no further questions, the board would entertain a motion. Or the chair would, not the board.
I'll motion that we grant the special permits requested, and by doing so, reference the issue you just raised in regards to the proper versions of, the bylaws, which delineates all the different requests.
You can pick that up, Lisa.
Yes.
You can get the guidance from what I have and what the boards recommend and what the Mr. Savageau would have added to that. Go ahead. So you're recommending approval on the basis of that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Are there any conditions that we need to cite with specificity in this case here? We do have a coverall, so even if we make mistakes, we're covered. Because I got to read you from the good holy Bible here.
Do we want to?
I got to be careful.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, do we want to cite the fact that they still having to go in front of the Board of Health, the Planning Board?
Yes, that should be a condition that the development plan review takes in effect.
Right, the usual boards that as you had mentioned, the rest of the town's folks.
Okay. Anything further, Lisa, that we're missing?
The vote.
Are you happy? Okay.
You get it right, though.
So with that,
Nope, we need to vote.
all in favor of granting the multiplicity of requests we have, we got to be careful. Most of the time it's simply one, but the multiplicity. And we would strike, and I make a motion, which I very seldom can do, is to strike out the variance request and supplemented by a special permit for dimensional variation in regard to the frontage. And is that the only issue that we have in that regard? So we'll create that as an approval, as an amendment. And I guess I gotta have, since I made the motion, I gotta have a second to the motion.
Second.
And then an approval of the modification is requested. Everybody?
Aye.
Okay, have we covered everything?
Yep.
Okay, maybe I can stop talking.
Well, now
So-
we have to vote on the original motion, Mr. Chairman.
Well, yeah, I knew you'd get me a vote on it. So we all approved on the original motion and the modification? All say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Got it. Okay, I gotta do some reading. Here we go again. Special permit. Grant, and then I don't have to read the variance. Because we would have to find things that would be very difficult to find. So we'd be in Superior Court in a minute, I guess, if somebody objected. Okay, in granting the special permit, the Board of Appeals did ignore that the proposed use would not be injurious or dangerous to the public health or unduly hazardous because of traffic congestion, danger of fire, or explosion, or other reasons. They would not have a material adverse effect on the value of the land and buildings in the neighborhood or on the amenities thereof. Will be operated with reasonable regard to order and sightliness in those areas in open use. It would not produce noise, vibration, smoke, dust, odor, heat, glare observable from the lot lines. A lot of times people pop up and start putting beams of light, comes out and someone comes with their car on the way and they can't see. But we object to that and have to make modifications. It's probably not in your case. The special authorization, this is our coverall. The special authorization is granted with the contingency that the petitioner comply with all licenses, regulations, statutes, and ordinances of any and all applicable state, local, federal boards or agency with jurisdictions over the premises. Can you imagine that? We didn't miss a trick here, so there we go. The granting of the special permit shall inure to the benefit of the applicant and shall cease in the event that the business is sold or sublet to another party. That's important that you remember that, so that any action taken, you must come back to the board, or we get upset when we find out. Sooner is better than later. The special permit is subject to periodic review by the permit granting authority, the zoning board, or the enforcing officer to ensure compliance with the enumerated conditions. Non-compliance with these conditions may result in the revocation of the permit. The other things that are necessary, that our permit will be stamped by the clerks in approximately 14 days. Anybody that when it's done has 20 days after that stamping to appeal the decision of this board to Superior Court. And then we'd also advise you to take and with the special permit or permits, however we manifest it, bring it out with the various permits, citing them with the courts with the deed in the courts. And I think I've covered it all, and with that, we wish you well. And thank you for coming.
Do you want these big plans back? We don't need them anymore. Would you like them back?
I'll take them, sure. I know we just went through this whole process, but just a quick question for you. Right now it shows that there's a water main to the left of the, if I'm looking at the driveway.
Thank you.
We didn't go up in this area, so.
It's amazing how we need so much paper. Huh?
We're still on the air.
Oh, we're still in the air. We can go off and take a recess.
Yeah. John, can we recess till 8:30, please?
death to celebrating a birth, the 150th anniversary of the birth of Richard Strauss. And you can read about him by going to our website as well, classicalwcrb.org. We'll now join him for a journey, a day's journey up and down a mountain. An Alpine Symphony. We'll hear Andres Nelsons conduct the City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra here on WCRB.
We'll wait for the crowds.
Hopefully they'll be quiet when they show
Tell
up.
me when we're online.
You're on.
You're on.
right.
You're
That
live.
was fast.
Yep.
He wants to go home
Okay.
too.
Well, we got before us, it's a continuation of a petition from Mark LaPrade. Is that right? Did I say it right?
LaPrade.
Huh?
LaPrade.
LaPrade, okay. 5 Summer Street, Lunenburg, Mass. And his request is for outdoor seating and to hold weekly car shows in the summer months. This application was continued from the last meeting because it appeared to the chair to lack enough information for the full board to consider the application. There seems to be the possibility, and I'm feeding this to the board from some of our conversations we had, trying to get to some focuses to achieve what you want to achieve, and would be in the proper domain for the board to grant what we have, and to bring in the appropriate other agencies into it that would have to review what this board did, and you are well aware of what it is. So, in following on, since we've never read this into the record, and we are on television, we will ask, the procedure we'll follow is we'll ask Lisa to read the application. Then you can speak to the application if you'd like, or you can just let it stand on its own. We'll ask for public discussion for and against, but I don't see many public, but we'll formally go through it. And then what we will do is the board will then ask questions. And I'm sure that there is information that I will contribute and the board members would also contribute. And with that, Lisa, would you please?
This is an application for a special permit, Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40A, Section 9, Zoning Board of Appeals. The name and address of the applicant is Mark LaPrade, Primetime Pub, 5 Summer Street in Lunenburg. The undersigned makes application as follows: to create outdoor seating area for guests as outlined on the drawing, and to hold car shows, weather permitting, on Sunday afternoons. The proposed action has not begun. The basis for this application for special permit is found in the following section of the Lunenburg zoning bylaw, Section 4631M. The street address of the property is 5 Summer Street in Lunenburg. Assessors map 115, parcel 12. The name and address of each holder of legal title to the land, which is the subject of this case, is MCMS Realty Trust, Aaron E. Donnelly, trustee of 72 Renock Road in Fitchburg, Massachusetts, and the deed was recorded in Worcester Northern District Registry of Deeds, Book 2815, page 224, recorded February 13th, 1996. The special permit questions have been answered as follows. A, patio will be away from property line and still leave open lane for traffic to flow around front and back of building. B, this is not a residential area, nor will it be a permanent fixture. The fencing surrounding the chairs and tables will be disassembled for winter. C, bar staff and owner will monitor cleanliness on a daily basis and to ensure the trash is always policed and picked up. D, the front area will not permit any smoking in front. The back area will be a sitting area for smokers and non-smokers. It will not produce any additional problems detrimental to the normal use. This is signed May 6, 2014 by Mark C. LaPrade, 5 Summer Street. There's a letter from MCMS Realty Trust to the board, to whom it may concern as landlord agent. This letter serves as notice for permission to allow Primetime Pub tenant, 5 Summer Street, Unit 10, Mark LaPrade, manager, to use the side, rear, and front lot for the purpose of outdoor patio area. All applicable town and state permits, licenses to be obtained by tenant prior to usage, and that's signed by John Donnelly, MCMS Realty Trust Manager. There's also a field card from the assessor's office with a photograph showing the property, and another plan showing the parking for the show cars and where the patio areas for outdoor seating. A new seating area was submitted tonight in hand. And there's also a copy of the assessor's map and a copy of the certified abutters list from the assessor's office. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Would you like to, you don't have to say anything more, we can work with what we got, and we'll proceed, or if you'd like to talk to it, you gotta get up and give your name, address, and say what you'd like.
I'll just get up and say just a couple things. My name is Mark LaPrade, and the address that we're speaking of is 5 Summer Street in Lunenburg. My address is 208 Grove Avenue in Leominster. I'm just saying, looking to get the board's approval. I think this would enhance our business, get an opportunity to get some more people down there, and I think it'd just be better to give us an opportunity to, like I said, to try to get some more people in there, try to get some people that like to be outside a little bit, sitting outside, enjoying the nice weather. And it is an area, like I said, it's not a residential area, and I don't think anything that we're doing is anything detrimental to the, our surroundings, to our building or anything like that. So hopefully you'll consider that.
Okay. I would like to say that I did visit your site, and I found it to be rather attractive inside.
Thank you.
And but we went down there to investigate the possibilities. You can sit back and relax if you'd like.
Okay.
Since Mike and I were the ones to see the site, and I don't know if the other members had visited the site, but you and I had talked to trying to develop more information to work with it. In the process of doing that, and that's my job as chair, I don't get to vote until the end, but I do get to do the paperwork, which I'm sure the board appreciates. But in the process of developing it, you're asking for two things commingled: the doing of the car shows and the addition of outdoor seating for recreational purposes. It came to my mind, just the way it is, that the car thing, you've come with two things to do. One is the car. We could separate them, you could, if you should so see it wise, but it came to my mind that one issue is the car display, independent of the drinking aspect of it. And then the other one, independent of that, is just the opposite. So, but they're commingled, so if we deny one piece of it, we'll deny, it would seem to say, since it's on the same piece of paper, both of them. If we would approve one, we would approve both, or we could do some modification. On the other hand, we have the capacity here, and this board does, to let you withdraw without prejudice, and under the same, you've already paid the fees to address the board, to break them apart, and probably at this meeting, we'll consult with the board to say, okay, I want to do the car thing, yes or no, and I want to do the outdoor drinking aspect of it, yes or no, and treat them as two separate products rather than all in one. And right now I'm going to ask the board if they would agree with my general thought process of allowing the petitioner for this particular case as it's presented. Is it advisable in the board's wisdom to break it apart?
Mr. Chair, I guess the question is will we still discuss both halves tonight?
Say again?
Would we still discuss both halves?
I see no reason not to break them apart, because we have the freedom of doing that. In other words, take two things and do the car and do the drinking.
And both tonight?
And both tonight.
Fine.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why we can't do that. But the petitioner has to ask that the board withdraw his petition without prejudice, and we've got enough information to address two issues at one time to have him go away with an answer on each. And I'm asking the petitioner if he would like to proceed on that basis.
Yes, please. That'd be
Okay,
fine.
so does the board agree that we would accept and you have to ask now to be allowed to withdraw your application without prejudice.
Okay. I guess I would like to withdraw the application without prejudice, even though one really doesn't have anything to do with the other.
Even though what?
Even though one really does not have anything to do with the other.
And that's what he's saying.
That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to uncouple.
Okay.
We're trying to
That'd be fine.
uncouple the document.
Okay.
And that's what you do.
That's what I'd like to
So
do.
the petitioner has requested that we allow him to withdraw the petitioner that's in hand now. And by the way, there's one aspect of it. Since we're gonna let him break it into two pieces, we've notified in the public record both pieces, so both pieces on the board, we're not changing anything, we're just manipulating them apart, so there doesn't need, and I would refer to Lisa, who is also knowledgeable, that everything is clean.
It's clean.
Yeah, that's all. I love her. She's my multi-word girl. So, okay, so all those in favor of allowing the petitioner to withdraw without prejudice and to bring back those two elements separately, since they should not be coupled.
I'll make a motion to that effect.
Okay, second to the motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, same here. Okay, now we're dealing with the two. So I think the first one that we would want to do is the easiest one, and that would be for the car shows on the parking lot. Now, he requested for it to be on Sundays. On Sundays, the businesses are closed, and it's quite a large parking area. And the one thing that we have here is, the question is, in my mind, is it conditional upon what we say, yes, you can do that, but then put conditions. In the back of my mind, I don't know, if there was gonna be drinking outside by the cars, then you'd have to have the police there, and you would have to have the one-day permit from the selectmen for that issue. You see how it would have to go. So we're talking no request for drinking outside for this aspect of it.
That's true.
And I'd ask the boards, what other aspect other than us saying, yes, go do it? What other conditions have got to be there?
Well, I think your point about the alcohol during the car show, the question in my mind is, how are you gonna control the alcohol outside? Somebody has a beer, even if they're inside, they see a car they like, they go out, they got their beer in there. How are you gonna control?
We'd basically have somebody stationed at each of the two exits to make sure that no one's exiting the building with alcohol.
Okay.
And that would be, see, there's two aspects of it. One is requiring a police, which costs you money.
Right.
Police to be on site for that session there that you're having. Or, and you're suggesting, if I'm reading not your lips, but your thought, you didn't know I could do that. So, that you would have one of your workers out there policing the aspect of it.
Right.
So, what are the thoughts of the board on the matter?
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I could, this was wildly successful, and we hope it is for you if this is approved. You realize you still can't exceed the capacity of I believe, 60 people in your establishment. So if 100 people showed up, you can't be serving all 100 drinks. You can only serve 60 at a time. Do you follow what I'm saying? Your occupancy is your occupancy. You can't exceed that. You can have people outside. What's that?
The occupancy is 90.
Well, all right, 90, I'm sorry. Off the top of my head, I didn't. So if 120 people show up, you can't serve them all drinks at the same time.
Right,
You
I
can only.
understand.
All right.
Well, if there's 120 people outside, it doesn't matter if they're in my parking lot. I mean, I can still serve the people that are inside, correct?
Oh, right, absolutely.
Right.
Right. That's all it says. So if you have 60 people in there, there's still 40 people outside that want to get in, you're going to have to keep a head count going and make sure you don't exceed
Right.
the capacity.
understand
So
that.
someone's gonna have to leave in order for
understand.
somebody else to go in. And actually, my
I
question-
hope I get to face that, to
No,
be honest.
and I hope you do too,
Yeah.
right, obviously. My other question was already answered, you're gonna do it on Sunday?
Yes.
So all the other businesses will be closed?
Yes.
And do you plan on doing any sort of flying of balloons or flags or any of that sort of thing no, on that
No,
day?
not pretty much.
Right.
No, we're just
Okay,
asking cars to come.
right. So will you advertise or word of mouth, how you get,
Pretty much social media and that type of stuff I've been.
okay.
Now, if I understand it, you've already conducted them without knowing that you had to come in front of the board for permission to do that.
That is true.
How has it been in your,
We,
share with us your past?
we've actually done, we've actually brought some people in. We have not brought a lot of cars in and everything. The most we've had is probably 10 cars on a Sunday so far, and I think it's just something that does require time to build up. So I honestly have not seen the point that it's, that there's any type of situation going on. We've had the people there to make sure nobody is going out with alcohol or anything like that, but it hasn't been that successful as of this point. It's just something that we're trying to, excuse me.
Let me read, if I can get my good readings. I'll give you the name and address of all of the members.
I'm gonna read the wrong thing.
If the board grants it, okay, a special permit to do that on this limited occasion, the granting of the special permit is going to be subject, okay, because when it comes to mind, how does this board assure itself that the regulation, that we haven't opened the Pandora's box on behalf of the board of letting it come down and the thing gets out of control for whatever those reasons are. So that if we did authorize a special permit, we granted with the contingency that the petitioner comply with all licenses, regulations, this is a cover-all, statutes and ordinances of any and all applicable state, local, federal, boards and agencies with jurisdictions over the premises. So that I lean to the point where, at what point in time does the Lunenburg Police Force turn around and say, we got a problem here, and we think that there should be some police, 1 or 2 police officers there during the hours of the show that you grant. That may or may not happen, but in terms of our granting it, and I'm asking the board members to see if they agree that we're in compliance, because to do carte blanche to say, okay, go have it, and then you put 200 cars down, and all of a sudden we got a major problem. The street's filled with cars, and they're drinking and whooping, and holy God, what did we do? So it's a question of saying, yeah, do it, but you've got to do it in compliance, so that so far you've ran it without knowing it, without the police force coming down saying, hey, we got to have to have a patrol officer. But you've got to understand, and the board has got to understand in the granting them that that's well defined, because golly knows that we can't, we say, go ahead, have it. Well, now do we say you can have 20 cars, 30 cars, 50 cars, and not to exceed, because now you got cars coming in the parking lot, those that are on display in the parking lot. So we've got to think about what's reasonable, but in the view of the fact that you're trying to engender new business, we should be business friendly wherever possible. And ask you, what do you think from your perspective, how many cars you're going to need, and when you cut them off so that we don't fill up Summer Street with beautiful new old cars?
Well, don't think that we'd be trying to exceed the parking limits of the parking lot, and there's probably in the area of 40 parking spots in the parking lot itself, and I think that we would not want to exceed that amount of cars that we let in there.
What number of cars would you seem to think is reasonable in old cars for the car show? In other words,
Yeah.
it's not 200,
No.
for sure.
No, not 200. I would say
When
we
do you
would
put
not
the
need
cap
to
on
exceed
it?
50 cars.
50 cars? How many cars do you think that parking lot can accommodate, including those who are going to visit?
I would say probably 75 to 80.
It is a
At a
fairly big
minimum.
parking area.
Well, there's parking all around the
I would
back as
agree
well
with
as the
it.
front and the sides, so there's plenty of...
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Can we put a condition on this, that the chief of police will have final say as to whether or not he has to hire an officer? If the shows, if they deem that the shows, that the traffic needs it, or that somebody needs to be there to help direct traffic, that at that time, that's a contingency, is that he would have to hire the officer to do that.
That would seem reasonable to say, because if it's going to be a contained small one, you shouldn't have any difficulty. But
Exactly.
if it gets growth, then would he modify and saying, okay, we grant a permit for a number of cars, and we'd have to define that number.
Well, I'm not looking to define the number, I'm looking to say that if the chief of police decides that traffic is an issue during these car shows, then he will need to hire somebody to conduct, for traffic.
That sounds reasonable.
But it could be 20 cars, but there could be 40 people visiting with those 20 cars, and that's what's causing the traffic, or whatever, but, it's up to the chief of police to decide.
And then it would be up to you to decide if, under the circumstances of them coming down with using reasonable judgment, that you would say it's too expensive to continue the activity. You're only asking for it for Sundays only.
Yes.
And for how many, which your dates that you'd like? We need a little specificity.
It is the
And
second...
whether you have it or not that
I do
day.
have it. It is the second and last Sunday of each month, through the months of June, July, August, and September.
Second to last.
The second and the last Sunday of each month,
Okay, so,
June, July, August, and September.
okay, so you got that, Lisa?
Total of 8
Like 8 days, yeah.
Yes.
shows.
Yep.
Just to follow up on his question about the parking, you said up to 50. You said there's about 80. So, if you had 50 cars there, you would expect to have a fairly large amount of customers coming in to view them. Where would all of that parking be? If you have 50 spots taken up by the car shows. And I know that they don't generally park really, they tend to take more room.
Well, like I said, we hope to display the cars in the front, but there is parking along the side and all the way around the back of the building and everything, too.
How many cars can you pack in the back of that building?
Yeah,
20 to
but
30
again,
cars, probably.
Pardon?
20 to 30 cars,
Yeah,
probably.
it seemed to me is fairly open there.
It is.
Somebody was considering, I think at one time, to put in a used car lot back down there or something to that effect.
Another one? Okay.
Need another one?
Yeah, another one.
On your map here, you've defined 40 parking spots in front,
Yes,
and that's where you're saying you'd want to put the show vehicles?
yes.
So is 40 a reasonable number then to permit you? Chances are you're never going to hit that number.
If we get 40, I'll be
Right,
more than thrilled.
ecstatic, yeah.
Right.
You'd probably be happy
If it's
to pay the
causing
detail
traffic
cost.
problems with the police and tell me they
Right.
need a detail, I'll be
You'd be
thrilled.
happy to- I'm
I'll be
sure.
more than happy to pay the
Right,
detail.
I bet you would.
Well, look
so-
at Perkins, Friday night at Perkins, so you never know.
Right.
Kimball's, I'm sorry.
Kimball's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
In the parking,
I'm going to ask for the ice cream permit next, too, so,
what are your setbacks from
Nobody's eating
Summer
ice
Street?
I'm sorry.
What are your setbacks from Summer Street into the parking area where the show cars will be?
How, the distance-wise?
Yes.
From the end of the rows closest to my building to the street is probably almost 100 feet.
Okay, I'm asking how far the setback from Summer Street.
In other words, from the road closest to Summer Street to the street.
30 feet.
30 feet, maybe?
And the other thing, just on the day of the car show, you would have the two, if you were granted outside areas, you would not have them open at all on Sunday, correct?
Right. Right, the areas I'm asking for the seating?
Right,
Yes,
right, I got it.
exactly.
Okay.
Right, because then I would have to control, I couldn't,
Well, I was
there's no
just
way to
gonna-
control it saying you
Right.
can't
I
move beyond,
was
right.
just gonna
No,
say that.
I would just, right.
And even if you tried to say, okay, the show's from, 10 to 3, so we'll close them during that time, you're gonna have people that say, well, I'm just eating, or I'm just doing this, I'm not, So you couldn't really control it unless. they were
Right, it would be
actually
difficult to
just
control on
closed.
those, right.
And I'd like to ask Lisa a question, which, just to confirm, we have the authorization from the owner of the property to have that car display in the text of the reading.
There's a letter.
So we already have the letter that authorizes by the owner to you to do those shows. So he's agreed to that. So at least we have his compliance. And then you make a good point regarding the condition to the police department. So far, he's had shows and he's had none. So if we authorize it and it's good, and there's only one other question that comes to my mind, is it has to be clearly understood, and I don't know quite how to formulate that, except if it's at a condition, that, and it's hard for me to understand that he's there to entertain people primarily with having a drink or two, that they walk out with the drink in their hand to the cars. The minute they do that, we got problems.
Well, he's basically jeopardizing his liquor license.
Pardon?
He'll be jeopardizing his liquor license if they do that.
Yeah, well, you understand. So my mind tacks a little bit to bringing in the selectmen on one day, remember, these are kind of one-day things. We're not talking about a lot of them. So do we leave it to, we grant it conditional upon the selectmen approving that aspect of it?
Well, I think we're granting it basically, he would go to the selectmen if he wanted to have the alcohol for that event. So like the Italian Fest went for a 1 day for alcohol. We're saying that we would allow this without any alcohol allowed, because of the way the establishment is set up. So we're not looking, he's not looking for a 1 day for the alcohol thing.
Yeah.
Right.
In other words, I just ask you frankly, do you perceive that those that are only interested in the cars are the only ones not drinking but enjoying the older cars? Are the only ones that would go out there and look at the cars without a drink in their hand? Because that's a big problem. But you've already experienced it by running the activity and didn't know you needed, permits.
Right.
Was you successful in having no drinks out there?
Oh, absolutely.
Huh?
Yeah, there was no issue, and I know I cannot have alcohol outside, so like I said, I had people stationed inside to make positively sure
Okay.
that no one was
See,
walking
the
out
burden
of
would
either
fall-
exit.
The burden would fall upon you
Mm-hmm,
and the risks associated with it.
understand that.
So, my concern is going to be is more of is more with the parking. I'm just concerned with how many spaces do you think you have to the right of the building? Towards where the cooler is. How many parking spaces do you think are there?
Just on that one side of the building?
That's correct. Roughly 15?
Probably more than that. There's probably 15 spots that are marked, but they literally could double park because there's a whole nother area.
No, I understand.
to that building,
So I guess my question would be is, how would you feel about the car show utilizing that row and possibly the first row in front of your establishment, and then leaving those other two areas for people that are coming to show to park? My concern is that if there is a new business that opens up in that area, they would like to have a Sunday, be open on Sunday, you're prohibiting a little bit of their traffic from being able to park in front of the establishment. So the idea would be is that the car show it would allow you to police the car show a little bit easier, because it would be to the right of your establishment and to the side, and in front, you still have the front availability for people to show up, but you're leaving those 32 spots, 30 spots for your overflow of people who are coming just to come into your establishment and, come into your establishment and not just see the cars, but also to...
I mean, first of all, I don't anticipate anybody coming into those other units before the end of the year. And if they did, I would be more than willing to work with those people and move my show around to accommodate somebody's Sunday opening.
Oh, I'm trying to make
I wouldn't want the restriction to say that this is the only way that we're going to allow it to happen, to be honest with you.
Because the idea is that, so you don't have to be coming to us every year. That when each year you're going to hopefully get this to be better and better as it gets known. And, I'm trying to make it so that you don't have to keep paying the money to come to us and visit us. Not as much as we don't mind seeing you, but I'd rather see you inside your establishment than outside your establishment.
Well, I would think that would be more restrictions that the landlord would be concerned about, not the zoning board, wouldn't it be?
In a way, but...
In order to make his tenants happy?
You have to be concerned because, part of what we do is safety and all that, and the parking is a big part of it. And you can't control who leases any of those other buildings.
Right.
And the landlord's certainly not gonna tell some restaurant or somebody that wants to move into it, or whatever it is, no, we have a car show Sunday, you can't. He's not gonna do that.
No, I understand that.
And you can't control it, we can't control it. We welcome businesses, so, following his point, I think it's a valid question of, how do we control this over a longer term, not just thinking about this summer.
I mean, all I can tell you is that, like I said, I'd be more than willing to work if that's the situation and somebody's going to be open on Sunday, then I'll deal with it when that time comes, and we'll make the arrangements and move it if we need to, but I'd hate to have the restrictions on it at this point. I don't think, I think we're looking at things that aren't happening and may never happen.
And again, this is just a car show, not with any special hypes or anything like that, where you might even have people demonstrating how fast they're...
No, nothing like, no, this is just a display, people driving their cars in, displaying them, popping the hoods open, people walking up and down the aisles,
Yeah.
and if they want to come in to have a drink, they're welcome to, and if they don't, there's nothing,
What are the proposed hours of operation for the show?
4 PM to 9 PM.
4 PM to 9?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does that leave you daylight all through that period?
Through most of it.
It's pretty well lit, too.
You got the time, Lisa?
You bet.
Okay, what do you think? Where are we at?
I think, how do we word it for the police?
Oh, you framed it up pretty well. Can you give that to Lisa?
I would frame it where that the police chief would have the ability to deem that that he is what do we call it? What do we call you official in that? That the owner is would be responsible to hire a detail if they felt that it was necessary to control
You
traffic.
have that framed up, Lisa, a little bit?
Yes.
So in other words, we're not saying that you should, but you were saying that upon discovery for the police department, if they need to manage the application, then you are at a position to decide, well, that's not my cup of tea, or to do it in compliance with what their requests are. So that would, worst case scenario, it would seem to me that, what are the hours of operation?
4 to 9.
4 to 9 p.m.
4 to 9. So that's 5 hours of detail guy, whatever that price is, God only knows, $35 an hour, something like that. Something like that. So that's what's on the table. But if they have no concern and you've successfully operated it without any concern, obviously, because there has been no reports. I don't know how they got you. But somehow or other it happened. Okay, we get something framed up here?
Yeah, I move we approve the special permit. Oh, sorry, did you?
I wanna put a number on the cars right now.
Yeah.
Simply for the fact, use 50s, 40s.
Not to exceed a number.
A not to exceed number, right. And the only reason would be is for control for this board. If we give you a number, say 30, and you have it and it becomes successful and everything's going great, then you can come back to the board and say, everything's going great, there's been no issues. The parking area, this is, where they've been parked, there's plenty of room for the customers, the other businesses aren't complaining, and all of that, and then you could say, I need 50 cars, and go back to us at that time. And so I'd just soon put a number on that, whatever the board feels is a reasonable number at this point.
Doesn't close the door on you.
Right, it doesn't close the door, it just gives us a little bit of control down the road to say, yeah, it's going well, we're glad, we're happy for you, but, it takes away, hey, I'm permitted to have 50 cars, I'm gonna have them, and even though, you know what I'm saying? So, and you're in confrontation with other businesses or anything else. So I would entertain whatever the board thinks is a reasonable number.
So let me ask a question then. You mentioned, you show in the picture here that there's, you say there's 14 parking spots directly in front, the first row
Yep.
to the right. Is that?
They're marked spots. I mean,
But
they're
14,
lined out.
are there 14 on each side or 14 total?
14 total,
So 7 on each side?
yes.
Okay.
But they really wouldn't park that way, would they, for a show? I mean, you wouldn't park that way. Every show I see, they...
No, they would park that way.
They were parked that way?
They will park. They'll be, rear to rear.
Okay.
Those 7 spots, so somebody can just
I wanna
walk
say,
right down one row.
I go by or see they're kind of parked out towards the street, so people going by are catching
No,
them right away.
we've been putting them in the rows just as this thing is marked.
Okay.
I'm just concerned with when somebody has, if both guys have their doors open and things like that, that there's enough room to walk around the cars and things like that, but that's the only reason I was asking.
I mean, they're regular parking spots, so there's plenty of room to open doors without banging into,
Really? Not in not most spots I go to. I don't know the last time you were at Walmart or Home Depot, but.
Well, yeah.
So just to be clear, the number you want to add here is the display vehicles,
Display.
not total.
No,
Okay.
just the car show display vehicles.
So would you consider the first 2 rows then, if he's looking at in-front parking only, for the car show, the first 2 rows would be 28, would constitute 28 vehicles?
Right, then there's another row of 16, so you got 40.
So that 16 would be for people who will come in to visit?
Well, I think he indicated the parking along the side and the rear of the building. He's never going to have 40 cars there. I mean, that's, 30, what number you want to put on it?
Well, that's what I was saying 28, because that's the 14 and 14.
You think that's a number that you can start with and work with?
28 cars.
28
Display cars.
Display cars.
I mean, yeah, if I have to come back, I'll come back. If
Okay.
that's the case. I'd like it to be that. I'd like it to be,
Right, exactly.
Right, so would we, so would we.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a number, I agree, that would just be outrageous and be uncontrollable and I'm not looking to do that. I'm not
No,
looking to
I
put
know you.
200 cars in
And-
there.
and again-
I mean, you know, I want to be able to control it as well as you want me to control it, so I'm conscious of it, I'm paying
It is-
attention to it, but I don't want to, but I also need to have enough to make the thing work.
And all these people that put their cars in, do they just do it because they're all car enthusiasts and
Pretty
they just
much.
love it? There's no cost to any of this?
Right.
They
And, you know,
don't come inside because they won't leave their car outside.
and, you know, we give away trophies for the best in show, and that's, they just like to come and
The lights,
display their
okay,
vehicle and try to win the trophy.
We had at Lake Shirley where I live, and the campground, Camp David, had a field where they used to bring the cars in. And they brought in probably 50 cars at that show, but that was a huge field, you know what I mean? It was scattered around.
You'd also be able to do 1.5 spaces.
So that's about 50. Does 50 fit into this picture? Or does-
No, I think we're down to 28.
I don't think
Yeah.
50 fits. 50 doesn't fit.
But you got a better feel, because they had developed that over time. It was a few and then added to it, and it became a big number. So, but you would be in the same position of saying, with my elastic limit, and then come back and ask for an extension for the number. Well, you could do that. The question is, in my mind, is the timeliness of your requesting, because that requires you to come back and formally apply for a modification, which is, you know, $100, and then come back, and then we rehear it, and then you know how long it takes for us to get a meeting. So those are the mechanical things that just exist as a matter of course, unless Lisa has another idea on the matter for the modification. None. We have to follow the bouncing ball. Say yes.
Yes, if the applicant's
Pardon?
content with 28 cars and it becomes very successful, then I wouldn't think it'd have a problem coming back.
So can we come to
Modify.
a reasonable number that's acceptable to you and acceptable to the board?
28.
You like 28?
I
Go ahead.
was thinking 36 would be,
Okay,
a
36.
happy medium, and if he's going by the spaces, and we were, you know, he could put them along the side, but if you went with what he's requesting is 14, 14, 16, 36 is in between, and it also allows you in a similar space to go 1.5 spaces per car rather than one space. That way
Okay.
it gives a little width that may be necessary in the future.
I think that's reasonable.
Okay.
You like 36?
I think it's reasonable.
You like 36?
That's fine.
The chair will accept a motion.
I make a motion that we allow for the Sunday car shows with a limit of 36 display cars, and the provision that the police chief would have final say when it comes to whether or not a detail is necessary.
You're in agreement with that? Is, okay, you got it all, Lisa?
Are you gonna include the dates?
What?
Are you gonna include the dates in the month?
Oh, yeah, we need the dates.
I was just going to include Sunday. I wasn't as concerned with the 2 Sundays. I would love to have it where you start saying, hey, I can do this every Sunday. Okay, I don't have a problem. I'm just going to say Sunday.
Can we limit it to the June, July, August, September? I think that's what you said, right?
Yes.
Right, so.
And that would be,
4 months.
and the hours are 4 to 9. It'd be a little hard to see them in the late part of the season, but, well, what the hell? Just as long as the big lights don't glare off the road. Okay, are we done?
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any further comments? The chair did accept the motion. We have a motion. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, I gotta do some reading. Hopefully we can do a lot of reading. It's a special permit. In granting the special permit, the Board of Appeals did assure that the proposed use would not be injurious or dangerous to the public health or unduly hazardous because of traffic congestion. I choke on that one a little bit. danger of fire or explosion or other reasons, would not have material adverse effect on the value of the land and the buildings in the neighborhood or on the amenities thereof, would be operated with reasonable regard for order and sightliness in the open use area, would not produce noise, vibration, smoke, dust, odor, heat, or glare observable from the lot lines in amounts clearly detrimental to the normal use of adjacent property. Well, thank God it's Sunday. By the way, do you allow motorcycles to be displayed also?
Yes.
Oh, you do?
You might not go now, please.
Pardon?
Feel free to still go. Don't worry about the code.
Say again?
Feel free to still go to the Sunday.
Put it in there?
Yeah.
So we're gonna add motorcycles?
I'm fine with motorcycles.
You gonna do what?
I'm fine with motorcycles.
Okay, everybody's fine. Special authorization is granted with the contingency that the petitioner comply with all licenses, regulations, statutes, and ordinances of any and all applicable state, local, or federal boards or agencies with jurisdictions over the premise. The granting the special permit shall inure to the benefit of the applicant and shall cease in the event that the business is sold or sublet to another party. The special permit is subject to periodic review by the permit granting authority, zoning board, or the enforcing officer to ensure compliance with the enumerated conditions. Non-compliance to these conditions may result in the revocation of the permit. And so there you go. The things that you need to do is to know that it takes 14 days for us to get it stamped at the clerk's office, and anybody 20 days after that, anybody who objects to the decision of this board can take us off to Superior Court to appeal the decision of this board. And then you should also record the permit with the Registry of Deeds. So that takes care of that issue, and then we'll quickly move on to the balance in front of us. Your legs are going to get tired standing up there all this time, but you've got to do it unless we get you a seat. We'll work on that.
No, that's fine.
The other one is where you're looking for seating arrangements. And then I'll take the floor again to talk about background work that we did jointly with the building inspector, myself, and the board may not have been privy to all of the conversations. So I'll ping pong off of the things that I observed that the board should consider. And one of them is that the interior of the place seated about 44 there, plus or minus seats for sit-down, but the capacity is based on the square footage, and that is recommend, or it is on the books for that building that time, is to be 90 people. And they're requesting seating arrangements, and the issues that came up and that showed concern of the observation of the building inspector and myself, and I had an independent person share with me the view and thoughts on the matter. There was a businessman in that regard. But the things that became questionable was that the occupancy of 90 people has to be for the building as it is, and with the extension of the outdoor seating area on the side of the building, so that if the total capacity, and we've just gone through this, is 90, and you had 80 all standing where you could legally do it today, and then put another 30 on the side and another 12 or 15, 30, 40 or 50, and the occupancy doesn't change to the number of people going to the outdoor. This occurred in two sites that we have recently done outdoor display, and one of them is the Bootleggers, and then one down on the shore.
On the rocks.
On the rocks. The question of going out the exit door in the rear. It's a double-wide exit. Mike has suggested that the entrance to the outdoor has to be equivalent to the exit door, and that's double-wide. That was one. My thoughts on the matter was I thought the minute you stepped out with a drink in your hand in that area, and though it's going to be 4 square feet, that I stand up before I take a quick turn and go into the outdoors. This is on the side of the building. That would be a violation of outdoor drinking. That comes to my mind. That's not official. It just comes to my mind. On the other side of it, if you come out the front door does not become integral to the outdoor seating area. So once again, when you step out for that 2 or 4 square feet with the drink in your hand and turn to come in, that action is your outside drinking. Then the other thing that occurred to me was regarding smoking. The issue regarding smoking in a building in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I'll bet even outdoors, questions in my mind whether that's legal to be sitting down in an outdoor integral part of the building and smoking there. I puffed a couple, and so to me I'd say I'm outside, but I don't know. Well, the one thing that occurs to all of us and is that regardless of what this board does, liberal or not liberal, in terms of its interpretation, has to be reinterpreted by the Board of Selectmen and the Alcohol Beverage Commission. Now, the Outdoor Beverage Commission might say that it's okay for a customer, not the waitress, but the customer, to step out the door in the open air and take a left turn and be inside a sheltered area in the front and in the rear. Mm-hmm. So those issues are all come to mind, and you can see it's just not a few. It's a lot of consideration. And so my thoughts on the matter, generally, just compiling all of the information. The one thing that we did observe was that if you, and then you're saying that you want to make it accordion-like to close it in the fall and reopen it in the winter. The other thing is an emergency exit in the outdoor areas that the people would have to, in emergency, get out of there without running back into the building to get out. So, but then you got the other problem that in the configuration of allowing someone to enter it from outdoors to the outdoor sitting areas without entering and becoming a guest of the hotel. In other words, being independent of the control from the inside to the out. Those are things that just keep occurring. And granted that the final decision maker, regardless of what we do, can be overruled. But I think it's important that the board has its responsibility to at least cite the areas of interest that need to be looked at by the Board of Selectmen and the Alcohol Commission, who can certainly override us. And and you seem to be confident that what you're asking for is not problematic for that exit and re-entrance into the outside area. And if the selectmen in their great wisdom and the Board Alcohol Commission agree with it, and I'm only speaking for myself, would say that so be it. But all the bases are covered. I think I've covered all the preliminary work, and you and I have had discussions in that area. The one thing that we thought that might be of value to you, but then it's an economic introduction, that when you walk in the door to your immediate right the bar is over to the right and to the immediate area, is a wonderful place to do a cut-through and make an official door. And everybody would enter that section, and it could be a fairly large section extending out onto the property, which would give you wonderful extended fascia or statement to the world of your bar with a nice facade or whatever. And then if you walked into there, you would cover several aspects of it. One would be that people come into the bar, don't use the fire exits, come in the main entrance, and immediately can be outdoors through the bar and the only thing that would be required then would be permission from the landlord to put it there as you go down that sideways near the cooler. So you extend it instead of in the back out of sight, in the front where it enhances your presence. And then the only exit on that extension would be an emergency exit in case of fire, so people didn't have to go back into a burning building. I think I've been long-winded and I've said my piece, and I wish you'd say your piece.
Well, that is a good idea, but I don't own the building, so I don't want to be putting money into that building.
Yeah.
And we know we're talking more of a substantial cost, putting a doorway in there and doing it that other way. And, you know, we're still trying to get up and running to make this business a success.
Maybe the
So
landlord would
it's-
like
it's
to
nothing-
expand it. Maybe the landlord would like to expand it and
Yeah.
enhance his building. But go ahead.
I'm not sure about that, but I probably could ask. So, and again, you know, it's the first year in business where, you know, and I'm not looking to spend an inordinate amount of money because it's not going to have a return of that kind of money. You know, as it is, we're talking 12 chairs outside in the back, and we're talking 8 chairs in the front. I mean, it's not talking of bringing thousands and thousands of dollars to my business. I'm just trying to do something that will keep people there a little longer and maybe bring a few more people in that might want to sit outside for a few minutes. So that's, you know, I have to weigh into, do I want to spend $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 to get back 200? And
Yeah, well,
the answer at that point is,
I appreciate what you're saying. So anyway, gentlemen, I gave you the candid overview of just prepping it, and here we are. So I open it up to the board.
First question I have is the seating in the front. Are you allowing smoking out there, or is that?
no, I did not want to allow the smoking in the front. I'm trying to keep all the smoking to be in the back of the building, away from it. I don't allow anybody to stand out front even smoking.
Okay, all right. Looking at the two plans, it looks like there is that area in the front becomes enclosed by some kind of fencing or something.
Put some type of fencing around that, yep.
Okay. Is there any way of, at the end of your building, so like, in other words, making it so it's almost like a continuous fence, at the end of the building, so that you would have that point of entry through the fencing? Do you understand what I'm saying at all? So in other words, it would be, if you've ever, like, if you travel into Boston, Newbury Street, whenever they have the outdoor sitting in the front, they'll have they have like an opening in the fence, but it looks like it's fully enclosed. It could be if it wanted to be fully enclosed. So therefore, it would just be, it would matter of putting a fence that 8 feet at the end of your, 8 feet extending out at the end,
Right.
and making so they can only
Yes.
come in that opening.
Yes.
Okay.
So it would come out from the edge of the building to enclose that front portion.
Right, so there would only be like
So
maybe
there would- so they-
there might be an 8-foot opening to come in. However, at some point, you could set up a station there, so therefore the person could be sitting, the people in the, so in other words, you're making it, well, as the chairman spoke about, you'd almost be making that part of your establishment.
Right.
Do you understand how I'm kind of phrasing that? And I think that's why they do that also, is that this way, the outside now becomes part of the establishment.
Right.
Okay.
I have, just as a side issue, I've consulted informally with a different chair of a different board and I spoke of the issue, not you in particular, about the outside just going out for a short distance to make the turn. And, The thought there was that, yeah, maybe the ABC would let you do that in the cases that they could be cited where they would allow that. I don't see where they would, but but the question is, can you survive the ABC and the Board of Selectmen of Lunenburg in that freedom of outside drinking?
So that was my second thought, was the outside and the back. How far is it from the outdoor cooler to that area?
Big area.
It's a pretty big area. It's probably, if I had to guess, maybe 10 feet, 8 to 10 feet.
So you have a proposal of a 10-foot fencing into this area. If that 10-foot fencing was extending across with a double-wide open gate, would that work for you? Once again, I'm enclosing that area to make it where somebody's not leaving leaving the area.
See, that's what Mike said. And then that's, of course, subject that his exit emergency door is double wide, which is pretty, it is not your average door. So that if, according to Mike, is that if you had this thing that's 10 foot by 10 foot, one big portion of getting into it would have to be equivalent to the
double wide doors.
To the exit
Yes.
door.
That's what that's my proposal also, yes.
That's an interesting structural requirement.
Well, I figured a double wide door is 2 3-foot doors,
Yeah.
which is a standard gate door, 2 3-foot.
His might even be bigger,
Okay.
that fire exit door.
I'm just
Yeah,
looking
I
at
know.
it as, my concern is exactly what you say, is that it's an open alcohol issue. And, unless there's a way that we can make this so that this is in some way seen as an area where you can police, I don't know if somebody can't walk out that exit door and keep going. You know what I mean? Just keep going. They don't make the left. They just keep going. And that's why I would like to have it so this area is enclosed, in some respect. That's just my thoughts on this. I mean, everybody's, you know.
Well, the area would be enclosed with some type of fencing, or whether it's, so that people can see that that's the area they're supposed to go into. I mean, it's no different right now without that outside seating, with those two doors there, somebody taking a alcohol beverage and running out the door. I mean, that's exactly what.
It actually is a little different. Right now, you're not expecting somebody to do that. Where if we allow this area, you are expecting them to be walking out that door with an alcoholic beverage, because you would assume.
All right, what if, but what,
You'd be inviting.
You'd be inviting them to walk outside, where right now you're not inviting them to walk outside. So the problem I have is that you're inviting them to walk outside, so therefore it's not as much where unless you had physically had somebody sitting out there all night long, making sure they didn't walk.
where are they gonna go with alcohol? I mean, they can't. I mean, I guess that's the question. I mean, they're going out the side of a building. Are we afraid they're gonna go in their cars? Are they gonna
Yes.
leave the premises and go someplace else? Is
Sure,
that-
they could. And that's basically, hey, this is America. We have to make it so that we make it ourselves idiot-proof. And that's unfortunate.
Which would be the job, though, of ABC and the selectmen, right? So if I'm looking to even get the seating out there so people can go out there and smoke, with no alcohol. I mean,
If you're
I'm
looking for
asking
the-
your permission to put the seating out there. Isn't it up to the city, the selectmen and ABC to decide if alcohol is allowed to go out to there?
Okay, so we're looking at two different issues then. I thought this was going to be, so we were looking at this for a seating area that would possibly allow alcohol.
We are, that could possibly, but the decision whether alcohol can be brought out into these areas is the selectmen and the ABC, am I not correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I could get your approval to do that with no alcohol, and I could go to the town and ask them to approve the alcohol and the ABC, and they could say I could or I could not do it, but I would still have the seating there if they denied it. Is that correct?
Well, we got, there's one thing and I'm trying to do a recall on the two that we've allowed open. And I don't recall, and I'd have to do some checking with Mike with regarding to bootleggers, for example, because they have outdoor, they've attached it to the building. It's all integral with this emergency. I don't know if you've been there.
I have.
But I don't know if they allow smoking in the outdoor enclosed area.
I don't think they
I
do.
don't recall, and I think I've seen people who have to step outside in the street, in the parking lot to smoke. Is that me?
No, that's him. It's you doing.
Yeah, you should.
What's the
pertinent?
It is me, huh?
I'll find it for you.
Yeah, it is. Hold on a minute.
Sure.
I
This
usually
is broker.
If I struggle a little bit more, they'll never get to me. It's probably my parole officer.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. It's killed.
Probably somebody at home watching, they wanted to phone in and answer.
I guess my next question,
In other words,
my next question would
Here's an open
be,
question.
Yep.
Can you have an integral outside parking in the, outdoor drinking or socializing in an area that's contained essentially within the building and is non-smoking in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts not allowed in that environment? And it occurs to me that they had to, that people who smoke have to leave and get out in the parking lot, not in the sitting area. They can't sit in the sitting area and smoke away.
You can make a smoking area, however, there's no alcohol, there would be no, there has to be a certain distance from a door.
Can it be integral to the building, in other words?
I don't
So
think,
the minute he makes the exit door to come in, he's making it integral to the building.
understand what you're saying, so that would be the whole thing, is that you're absolutely right, so we don't know.
Because the load, the population load factor comes into play.
Right, but we don't know if that, so we don't really know if you're allowed to have a smoking area with alcohol.
I should know that, we should know that simply by asking.
Right.
At any point relative to this issue here. So in other words, it could be conditioned upon the legal aspect of smoking.
Right, because it could be, still seen as a public, as long as there is service there, it could be seen as a public area.
Yeah. And maybe you can't smoke anyway if it's made integral to the building.
Right.
I don't think we need to, just my opinion, address the smoking. I mean, we're strictly saying it's an outside area to serve food and beverages. And as far as the beverages, if it's alcohol, they've got to go to the selectmen, they got to go to the ABC.
And the smoking issue can be a condition.
It could be.
It's exposed, so we covered our bases. We covered our bases relative to what we would grant.
So I guess
I
that,
think when you read your spiel, Mr. Chairman, it says all appropriate agencies, and so if that wasn't allowed, then it wouldn't be allowed to be the catch-all.
Yeah, okay.
so I guess my question is for the applicant is your intent on this, on these two areas? Is this a food and, are both of these supposed to be food and beverage?
I don't
Or is
have any
one-
food.
Okay, so are both of these supposed to be for beverage? And then the other side, or is one of these designed as a area for folks who want to smoke to sit and relax to sit and have a smoke while they sit outside and have a smoke?
Both, actually.
Both, for both areas.
No smoking in the front, just the beverage area in the front, the smoking and beverage in the back. Currently, people are standing outside, they're smoking now. So I guess I'm curious as to what's the difference if they're standing there smoking or sitting there smoking.
There's not much, as long as, because it looks like you're far enough away from the exit door that they would be allowed to smoke. I think I'm trying to remember if it's 15 or 20 feet.
Okay.
They'd have to be away from an exit door. It's like, any public building.
Right.
Right?
Right.
It's just a matter of, I personally, I don't know the law well enough to know whether, you're asking for both. And that's difficult for this board because I don't think any of us really know whether you're allowed to have both. If we can, even if we're allowed to say you can have both in that area. I don't know personally if I can say, if I can grant something that says you can have an outside area that allows both.
If it's allowed.
If it allows. Right.
I
but
thought
I
we
go back
decided
to-
that wasn't our decision to make. We're just deciding
Right.
to grant him outdoor seating or not.
Exactly.
The rest of that is between him, the selectman, and then him and the Alcohol Beverage Commission. And they already have rules and regulations, that deals with that sort of thing.
Okay.
Can I ask for a clarification on size? You're proposing a 12 by 16 in the back,
Yes,
fenced in,
yes.
and it would be behind the present exit door that's there. So you would have to go outside the exit into this
Yes.
12 by 16. How high off of the ground would the fence be?
I don't have any specifics as to that. I would guess I was just going to find out what would be required to do it.
Okay.
I don't have any specific fencing picked out or anything like that. And again, I'd have to look at it economically to say, is this
I
worth
understand that.
the investment?
And the same thing with the front?
Yes.
That would be completely enclosed, 3 sides? You have to get in there. but
Right.
You have to have some sort of a gate.
Right.
To get in.
Right. Yes.
Aside from.
Right.
And
Does it-
again, that
so
would,
there'd be an
depending upon the height would, in the front would probably be different than the height in the back.
Could be, yes. Yep.
Does the front exit, the front seating require, as it is required, and what you're proposing for the back, it requires an entrance and it also requires an exit, so that you don't have to go back into harm's way if there's a fire or a flash fire or something. So does the front require 2 exits, one to get in and one to get out? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see, and I'm trying to think of other establishments, how it was done.
You see, the one that's approved at Bootleggers is that when you go into there, you enter that through the main building.
Right.
You go in
Right.
and you're in there and there's a bar in there and so forth. But you can't, if there's an emergency, go back into the burning building. You have to be able to bust out
Right,
the backside.
right.
So you got the same set of conditions here. You're enclosing people into an area. Where's your emergency exit?
Understand. So it would probably be that on the third side here, this would have to be a gate over here that they can come out.
Yeah.
But again,
I'm also, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, in order to act on this, we really need to know, fencing, you say, well, I'm gonna look into it. Well, it's kind of important for us to know what kind of fencing and all of that, because, you've got traffic near this, you've got vehicles, right? You've got cars that you say are gonna park in the back or whatever. So I know in the past, some of the things we've said is, you gotta have some sort of, and you're talking about a fence that you can take down, which makes me think that, some of those fences are not constructed as well as other fences. So you have to be concerned with the people sitting in there about their safety. So a fence, that area, to try and make sure that it is a secure area, it needs to have, you can't have a fence that's flopping around as somebody mistook the corner and drove into that or something else. So in the past, when people have come before us, we've known that it was going to be a wrought iron fence. We've known it was going to be how high it was, and we know where the exits are, and we know, how they're going to get in and out, and where and this one's a little more vague than what we're used to. It's just, the information's a little vague. And I personally think that at this point, we don't have enough detail.
Do you know where we would get the requirements as to what is the standard? If there's a height standard?
Well, like I say, I mean,
You have to get up if
I'm
you're gonna.
sorry.
There might be 5 people.
No, you're
You can
welcome.
speak, but you have to come to the microphone and identify yourself.
No, we're not trying to shut you down, we're just trying to,
I'm sorry.
You got it, there might be somebody at home that actually is watching, so.
Oh, okay. I'm Lisa LaPrade. And so the question I have is, where would we or myself obtain the information as to the guidelines? Would it be at the town hall? They must have some type of a guideline for construction or?
I'm not sure if there's actual guidelines on this type of thing, but if you can't, right now, if you said to me, I have to make a decision at this point in time, based on what I heard, I'd have to deny.
No, I understand that, but I just
Because I
meant.
don't have enough information to really make a decision that I can say, okay, they're gonna do this, they're gonna do it right, the people are gonna be safe, this is gonna be well-planned. I don't have enough of that information. But if you came back to me and said, this is what we're gonna do, I'm gonna put a wrought iron fence up, it's gonna be 6 feet high, it's gonna be this, construction professional, whatever. This is the seating area, this is where they're gonna enter, this is where they're gonna exit, this is the rear exit, so that there's more to it, you know what I'm saying? So we have more information, we could say, okay, this is all reasonable.
Very good.
Right now, I don't have that information. So at this point sitting, I'll tell you right now, I would have to deny at this point.
The one area that could happen is, and I think it's shutting down our responsibilities, is to defer to the planning board. In other words, say, conceptually, you want to put spaces and sitting here, and then have them to go to development plan review with the planning board, and then the planning board require engineering drawings, I would believe, to develop
I don't think, I don't know if you're asking for that, that's not what I'm asking.
No, I'm saying, we just did a case where we deferred to development plan review.
Right.
That they're gonna have to come up with their necessary engineering plans to do it. Well, here we go, where the bootlegger had to go to development plan review.
Did On the Rocks do it
Pardon?
also? Did On the Rocks have to do the same thing?
Yeah, they defer, we defer them to, that's the way to go. But when they do that, then they're into engineering, detailed
Understand.
plans.
Right.
So those are the kinds of things that get in the way.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Chairman, the difference here is, those were physical structures, the last two we approved. They were actually, and they're still, the fence is a permanent structure, so this whole concept of some sort of movable fence that, you can't show us a picture of, you can't show us literature from the manufacturer, we don't know, but thunderstorm comes up and the wind starts howling, is that gonna fall over? Which just brings it up another question, but a thunderstorm comes up, these people are outside, they're all gonna try to get inside real quick. I don't know if that's gonna present the problem, but just, something that comes to mind. And I'm the same thing. I don't think I have enough information at this moment in time that I could actually vote to approve this also.
I think you're asking us for approval or to look into, would we agree to a sort of temporary outside seating capacity, front and/or back, for your patrons? And I think, it's a novel idea, not only to us, but also in the whole state of Massachusetts in general. They don't have it in Boston. Even a lot of restaurants, they don't have it.
It's all or nothing, yeah.
It's not conducive to it in most areas. And I think, something that's, I appreciate what you're trying to do, and it's something that's nice for people to be able to sit outside and enjoy themselves. But I think we're looking at something that is a novel idea, that is something new, and as you yourself, I believe, implied, it's only temporary. You're not sure if it's for this year or something. You don't want to, you can't commit financially to something that's not your property.
Right.
But you'd like to accommodate a situation for your business. And it's an area that's new to us, too.
And there's one other thing that comes up is an issue is in the front, where you put out the gates and everything, and now you're directly exposed to a parking area. Well, you get the thing that you see every day, someone rams through the front or something.
That's what I think.
And then you raise, and And the applicant would take issue with the thought process of putting Jersey barriers as a protective thing to protect the people who are outside of the formal building.
So
And he would, and I can appreciate where he might say, oh geez, what do we got to do that for? You know what I mean? All we want is a couple of seats out here.
Right.
Would be his position, and I could understand that.
Right. So
But then the question is, what do we understand?
Right. And I've seen that taken care of where they've done, heavy planters. They do like cinder block weighted planters, so that would kind of slow a vehicle if it did. It might not stop, but it would slow. So every 3 feet, there would be a planter or something like that with just something in between it to stop people from walking in and out. I mean, there's ways, I'm open.
We used to do it, but we can't engineer.
I was at the Target up there, and they have these things that are so huge you couldn't believe it, and I seen one get knocked over.
Oh, you'll see, if there's a will, there's a way. So yeah, I have to agree with Al. Al is basically, I'd like to see more facts on the fence. And I think on the same side, I'd like to somehow find out what is classified as the outdoor, indoor, whether you can have this or not. I'd like to have that before I would, do anything. I'd like to understand how far we can go, as far as a board. If we're not allowed to even approve something that allows alcohol to go outside, why am I doing that?
Yeah. See, the petitioner argues that you give it to me, and I got to just give it to me a baseline of which I can see if I can jump over the hurdles with the selectmen and the alcohol permission. He says, I got to do this, but before I do this, I want you to say it's okay to do it. Well, to do, and you raised the question now, to do what is the question you're begging the applicant. In other words, the applicant's saying, just let me do it.
Right.
That's all I want from you. You let me do it, then I'll go to the selectmen, and I'll go to the alcohol commission, and I'll see if I can bring the beer outside and this.
But unfortunately,
but we're sitting here as intelligent human beings saying, wait a minute, I don't think you can go outside with a bottle of beer. So in any decision we would make, we would say that the conditions are, can you go outside with a bottle of beer in an open free area? Can the consumer end up outside in the street with a bottle? Can the petitioner put up an unknown petition that will assure that in our decision it's safe enough for emergency exit out? Is it, in our opinion, and we'd have to deal with all these issues, is it okay, and we would have to say it's okay, to not to make the sitting area integral to the main bar, where it influences the sitting overall and drinking and smoking of those things? We'd have to say that too. Are we in a position to say all of these things? And to what level do we have to rise in conditioning before and he says, do nothing, just say go, do it. Give us the permission to go do what we want to do, but we're not really sure quite how it's going to come out. Well, that's a stretch.
So can I ask a question of the board? I mean, if this area outside was onto the rear of the building was smoking only, would we be looking differently at this?
I don't know. We're not intelligent enough and what are we granting?
Okay, no, that's fine. I just was
I'm begging the question.
I mean, and then the other question is that if you're making it an area where you just stick a table out there for folks who want to smoke so they can sit down and smoke, if you're just sticking a table out there, they're not a patron of your establishment once they walk outside without something in their hands. I mean, that's one thing you could possibly do, where you just stuck a table out there to give somebody a place to sit down when they want to have a cigarette, and come back in. Do you understand what I'm saying at all?
So you're saying that's okay to do?
I don't know. I'm looking at it. I don't know. I'm just looking at it going, once they walk out, they're not really a patron. If they don't have something in their
Right.
hands, they're not a patron of your establishment anymore.
If they got a drink in their hand and they're outside and they bought it inside,
Then that's different. But I'm saying is that, I've seen establishments where they have an area outside for folks to go, but they can't bring anything with them. But they make it comfortable for them to sit there.
Right.
So,
exactly.
This front of Bootleggers is like that. They have a bench outside. You could just walk up from the side of the road, sit there, and walk on if you want.
Right.
And there are other places that you can do that.
I'm just looking at it as a way of you guys at least getting to see what's gonna happen first. Even if just giving them an easy area to sit, and it causes them to stay that much longer. Okay, and that was the whole I'm just trying to throw ideas out for you at the moment to help you get your business going. As you can see, the hard part is we're all sitting in the same boat. We don't know what we're looking at. And I don't want you to have to go through too much financial effort to have to figure that out. I mean, if there's something that you can do where you can figure out this is the kind of fencing I'd be looking at, this is what I would be doing. The main concern personally is the front.
Okay.
Okay, the back to me is a little bit easier they're a little bit different from the roadway, but the front is the part that I worry about people making a mistake.
Okay.
More.
But you would still need the details of the back.
Right.
Don't think,
Right.
but.
I mean, as it stands right now, I think 2 members have already said they couldn't vote in favor of this. It takes, 4 out of 5 to approve this, so if you want to withdraw tonight and come back with some more information at a different point,
that's
that might
what
be a better course of action.
Okay, that's fine. I'll withdraw it for tonight.
Can we allow to withdraw without prejudice and?
The chair would accept a motion from the applicant. The applicant would request it, and then we would approve it. I'm just trying to, before we move off the subject, is to get some fundamentals. And I was going to go visit with you, and we didn't, because we independently came to some conclusion we needed added information, which you did, thank you, brought to us. But to redefine before reapplication, we both got to do homework, is what basically are you asking of this board, and what basically can this board do with due diligence and with the responsibility of handling? In other words, the things that come to mind are, can you do an appendage, hang something on, and have it, as you say, totally independent of the current business? So it's a separate package. Then when you get that separate package, that's 1. 2, once you do it, can you smoke in it? Or is it deemed to be part of the basic business? 3, can you somehow or other, independent of being inside, I'm pretty sure you can't do that, is drink out there, unless you brought it in. So is it sitting, smoking, and once you say drinking, you're integral to the system.
Right.
I think that hopefully we come to that conclusion. And this is stuff that would have to appear in front of the selectmen. What do the selectmen demand of us? We work at their pleasure of presenting them with a product that opens the door for further investigation by them. So the thing turns out to be very simple, not simple, very difficult, is sitting to an appendage building, smoking to the appendage building, drinking to the appendage building. Which of those things can we bless? That would take care of the back building.
Right.
The back building. Then if you take the front building, that have different characteristics to it.
Well, it'd just be the drinking and sitting.
And the what?
Drinking and sitting.
Yeah.
No smoking in the front.
Well, why shouldn't you smoke in the front if it's...
That's his choice.
That's their choice too.
As an establishment, that's their choice.
They don't allow it
Yeah, because once you're there and there's the doors open, the smoke goes in and everybody gets up in arms. So it's the back area. So then if we turn around and talk about the front area, what do we need to do to bless it, to move from us so that they can go on to the selectmen and the alcohol commission? What are the elements that we need to know? And I go to Al for that. What do you need to know minimally to approve some sitting?
I'm gonna tell you, Don, I'm more concerned with the actual.
Pardon?
I'm more concerned with what we concern, which is zoning, safety, all of those issues.
Right.
You know, what we say is we say beverage. It's up to the selectmen and the Alcohol Beverage Commission to decide whether that beverage is alcohol. Beverage to me means, right now, is what we give you, it's a soda. You know, I can't tell you can have alcohol out there. I have no authority to do that. So I'm more concerned, you know, in smoking, there's laws that regulate that, and I don't know what those laws are. You have to comply with those laws. So what I'm saying is, we don't have, you're asking for two areas that we don't have enough information on, from my point of view, that from what we can allow, we don't have enough information to make a decision that would allow you to do that.
What do you want to know? The material?
We need to know the exact area, the exits, the fencing, you know, the barriers in the front. It's these types of things that we need to know.
Yeah, just think of the general, as you mentioned, general safety of the public, we're concerned with.
So in other words, you're saying that if we approve something, we're approving a sitting area?
Well, we're basically approving, you know, I would say.
Sitting area.
We're approving that because they don't, normally we'd say food and beverage. They don't serve food. They don't want food. So now all we're approving is a beverage. They got an area where somebody can drink a beverage. What it is, I don't know. It can be water, soda, or alcohol if the selectmen and the ABC allows them to have alcohol out there. But it's up to us to make sure they comply with all the rest of it.
You're
It's
saying
up to them to comply with the.
You're saying to approve 2 units, front and back, because I can't sit down and design engineer, you see, because
Exactly.
you get pissed at me if I turn around and don't show up, and then you're saying, but we're telling you, so I hope you're listening. We're saying that you want to get 2 areas that
If they want
that
to.
accommodate seating, number one.
Accommodate seating.
You got to know what kind of material, what decorative thing is going to be
Well,
around
and the
it.
rest of them can.
Is it going to be a pine fence, or is it going to be
Is
a,
it, you know, right, is it gonna be a,
Secured.
you know, I don't know, couple of poles stuck in the ground with whatever in a cement block? I don't know. Would I consider that safe? No.
he's going to be able to pull them up and put them in the cellar?
Well, yeah, and I mean, he's gotta think about it, because that may make no sense, but that's up to him. You know, we're not gonna design it. To me, you know, something, a permanent fence that you don't have to take down every year may make a lot more sense to me than a fence you're gonna disassemble, unless it's, you know, you could say this fence is a good, secure fence, and, you know.
You'd have to define this.
And again, I'm not defining anything. 'cause
No, he would have to define this number of seats with specificity.
Correct.
In other words, how many can I get in there, not 4
How
X's?
many can I get in?
The size of the
This is area.
table. And
This is the, right.
And by the way, I would also recommend that you
But
do
we can
get a
find
chance to
barriers.
talk to
What
the
are you gonna use?
ABC
How are you gonna protect
about
those people?
how, if I want to allow, you know, if I want to allow adult beverages out there, how would I have to enclose this area? Because, you know, in other words, if we approve it for you that you can have sitting out there, that's
and-
one thing, but, you know, I'm trying to save you the trouble of coming, you know, of the whole trouble of coming up with the fencing.
All right, well, I was told the order of process was that I had to get your approval before I could go on to the next thing to
Well, you
get their
really-
find out from them.
Okay.
In a sense, you do,
So I
but
don't know.
the thing is,
Now, you're telling me something.
No,
different.
I'm saying if there's a recommendation, if they're saying to you, if you're gonna do that kind of area, this is roughly what we would expect to see from you, That's all I'm saying, is that, because they might say, look, the area in the back, you'd have to put a fence across where the doorway is to the cooler, and therefore that changes the whole complexion of things, and you might say, hey, I can put 2 more tables out there.
Right,
And that might be a cool area. And I'm just saying, for your own sake, it could change the whole scope of things. And we've expressed our things with the front, we're looking at both areas, but the front is one that's really concerning when it comes to vehicles.
And these are things, even when stores, I can remember a store, I won't name names, but a store that came and they wanted to have outside display under an area. But again, we said, you've got to have some sort of, if people are there looking at things, and a car comes in and it's some old gentleman, he's going too fast, or whoever, and they go over, you can't just have people standing there. I understand, you egress and all that, but we want to at least have something reasonable to act on.
Okay.
And right now, we don't have that.
One thing that you would have to do, and don't leave it just to the boilerplate that says you're gonna comply with everything, but you need to put it as a condition that we approve this configuration with these specifications that define the hardware that's gonna go in. Then the question is, you're not gonna define, you could use the general terms of serving beverages, but then make it a condition that any smoking, with specificity, smoking or alcohol beverages need to be referred to the selectmen of the town of Lunenburg and the Alcoholic Beverage Commission.
Exactly.
So we've approved some hardware,
We're gonna
some
approve
seating
an area
capability.
that is good. I can tell you, I can't speak for them, but I would imagine that if you went to the selectmen with this and said, this is what I want an alcohol license, I can't imagine they wouldn't be asking the same questions.
Okay.
I think also you ought to have the pieces separated, as we've discussed, to make sure in your mind, this is what I want for the back, this is what I want for the front. If I don't get both, that's okay. I'll have one or the other. If I'm really lucky, I might get both. But looking at it in the long run, I think you've got to separate them.
So on that basis, I think it's probably appropriate to suggest to the applicant that he withdraw without prejudice. By the way, if you elect not to do it, then you can't come in front of this board for 2 years unless it's substantially different than what your initial presentation was for. That's the rules of the game on denials. So I think, has the board said enough that you get a sense of the board?
Yep.
Are you prepared to request a withdrawal without prejudice? At least you got the parking area for the,
Yep.
for the thing. And then think to come back again with some little specificity.
Okay.
And I think it's fair that the members have said that you, with the conditions that you go take the other steps, because you got to take them anyway.
Right.
So it says that the board is cognizant of the fact that you must take those steps, and then we make it as a written condition to escalate it up, which gives you the platform to go.
Okay.
You agreed?
Yes.
Do you have other questions of us?
Nope.
Was your wife? No?
Okay. So if you would like to say for the record that you'd like us to withdraw without prejudice, if you would.
I'd like you to withdraw it without prejudice this evening.
The petitioner requests to withdraw without petition is the,
Do we set a date?
No.
Or do we do anything?
No.
Just leave it open-ended?
Just,
No, it's up to him.
Right, it's not a continuance.
The one
I
thing,
understand
the one thing that the chair can say is that you came forward in good faith for a decision which you paid a fee of $100. That we would, on a resubmittal, we would waive the fee.
Okay.
And that would give you the sense of a continuance of what we're doing. But it puts the clock on your side when you can get to do, if you want to do, and then go to Lisa, and then she's nice enough to expedite it whenever she can. So the chair will ask if we will accept.
Make a motion that we accept the withdrawal.
Second to it?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So we're gonna kill it off and then relook at it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We look forward to seeing you again.
Appreciate
Okay,
it.
We do. Can I make a motion that we adjourn?
Yes, that would be appropriate, and I'm not gonna make Home Depot.
Oh, we have an executive session after this.
A couple hours, and then a workshop.
That might be a good idea.
We're still in the air.